उनको कोई नुकसान नहीं, वो है, वो रहना चाहते हैं, रहे, पूर्वजों के पास वापस आना चाहते हैं, आए, उनके मन पर है। हिंदुओं में ये आग्रह है नहीं, इस्लाम को कोई खतरा नहीं है। हाँ, हम बढ़े, हम एक समय राजा थे, हम फिर से राजा बनना, ये छोड़ना पड़ेगा। हम ही सही बाकी सब गलत, ये छोड़ना पड़ेगा। हम अलग है इसलिए हम अलग ही रहेंगे, हम सबके साथ मिलकर नहीं रह सकते, ये छोड़ना पड़ेगा, किसी को भी छोड़ना पड़ेगा। ऐसा सोचने वाला कोई हिंदू है उसको भी छोड़ना पड़ेगा, कम्युनिस्ट है उनको भी छोड़ना पड़ेगा।
Viewers, sadly, there are few takers for Mr. Bhagwat's well-informed advice, well-intentioned advice. Tonight, your channel will reveal how Hindus are being terrorized to convert to Islam. We get you chilling testimonies and eyewitness accounts from Dond in Maharashtra, which will reveal how Hindus there are being deceived, coerced, bribed, and even forcibly circumcised. We delved into what's driving this forced conversion, which is an open secret that no one has dared to expose till now. A young girl was deceived into marriage and forcibly converted. Hear how a man named Salman, who has been arrested, called himself Raj and lied to her about his faith. This, viewers, is her story, and she is just one of the few who has undergone this trauma. Listen in.
मैं सिटी में हॉस्टल पे रह रही थी, तो फिर वो लड़के के साथ, मतलब वो लड़का हिंदू नाम करके ऐसे बोल रहा था कि मेरा नाम राज है, तो फिर मेरे उसके साथ पहचान हुई, फिर हमारी फ्रेंडशिप वगैरह हुई, हम दोनों रिलेशनशिप में आ गए, फिर हमारी बातचीत शुरू हो गई, ऐसे हो गया। माइंडसेट ये था कि वो हिंदू लड़का है तो फिर मेरी फैमिली एक्सेप्ट कर लेंगी, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा। बट जब वो कोर्ट के डॉक्यूमेंट्स मेरे सामने आ गए तो फिर मेरे को पता चला कि वो एक्चुअल में वो लड़का मोमेडियन है। मैं शॉक हो गई, फिर मैंने उसको देखा, ऐसे क्वेश्चन किए कि ये क्या है, ये सब क्या है, मेरे साथ फ्रॉड हो गया, तूने ऐसे किया वैसे किया। वो ऐसे बोला कि मैं तेरी फैमिली को भी संभाल लूँगा, उसकी ऐसे कर लूँगा। उसने ऐसे मेरे को प्लानिंग वगैरह बताई, फिर वो बोला कि यहाँ पे साइन वगैरह कर लेने के शादी हो जाएंगी, कोर्ट मैरिज।
Now viewers, hear this couple who narrate how they were forcibly converted to Islam. In fact, the husband says that they pinned him down in his own home and forcibly circumcised him. Hear his ordeal, and on the basis of his ordeal, an FIR has been filed and more arrests have been made. Listen in, viewers.
फिर कपड़े होते बाद इन्हें मोबाइल शूटिंग कर रहे थे, वो वीडियो शूटिंग, तो एक टीवी के बाजू नहीं क्या उधर रखे थे मोबाइल उसने, और डॉक्टर के साथ बोले, डॉक्टर साहब करो, बोले अभी उसका खतना। और फिर ज़बरदस्ती ने क्या किया, आसिफ शेख ने बोले हाथ पकड़ने को लगाए और कोमल कुरैशी पैर पकड़े, और वो क्या उर्दू भाषा में क्या मंत्र पढ़ रहे थे, वो मुझे कुछ समझ में बिल्कुल भी नहीं आ रहा था। तो ऐसे धारदार शास्त्र से नहीं क्या वो मेरे लिंग के आगे के कातड़े निकाल के फेंके, और मुझे ऐसे जो कोने में हालत में फेंक के गए।
कोमल कुरैशी ने मेरे को ऑफिस में बुलाए, खबरस्तान के उधर उनका ऑफिस है, उधर बुलाए, बोले कि अपने मुसलमान में लेने का उसको। तो मैंने बोली नहीं, हमारे मुसलमान में उन्होंने नहीं आएंगे, मैं हमारी शादी हो चुकी, तेरे आदमी को मारूंगा, फिर मारकर बच्चे लोग को छोड़ूंगा, मारूंगा।
Another man in Dord claims that after he married a Muslim girl, her family gave him death threats to convert to Islam. One day he claims he was drugged and circumcised. Now hear his story, viewers. Again, arrests have taken place, FIRs have been lodged in each one of these cases.
मेरा एक मुस्लिम लड़की के साथ अफेयर था 3 साल से। बाद में हम दोनों जन कॉलेज से उसको लेके मैं घूमने गया, मेरे को शादी करनी है आपके साथ। फिर हमने शादी की आलंदी। शादी करने के बाद हम घर आए। घर आने के बाद उन्होंने बहुत ये करे उसके घर वालों ने कि ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, हमारी लड़की मुस्लिम है, हिंदू में नहीं जा सकती, तुमको है ना हमारे कास्ट वाले काट के डालेंगे, ऐसा करेंगे वैसा करेंगे। पिताजी ने, भाई ने, बाबा ने बुलाया, उन्होंने मेरे को हॉस्पिटल में इधर से सिरमपुर में, फिर मेरे को बेहोश करा। उन्होंने वो क्या ऑपरेशन बोलते खतना, मेरे को तो मालूम नहीं था।
Now hear the story of a couple who lost their son. It's a heart-wrenching story because he refused to convert. They say he was killed in cold blood for standing up for his beliefs, for his faith.
लग्न केल्यावर त्या मुलीनं ती गेली तिकडं पुण्याला. त्याच्यानंतर मुलाला फुसलून नेलं त्यांनी, फुसलून बोलवलं तिकडं. आणि ज्या टायमाला इकडं श्रीरामपूरला आलं ते त्यांचं धर्म स्वीकारा, तर मुलगा म्हणे आम्ही धर्म स्वीकारणार नाही. त्यांनी पकडा तसाच इकडं नदीला आणून मारलं, आणलं नदीला फेकून दिला. अशी घटना झाली का त्याला शिक्षा झाली पाहिजे शासनाकडून, ही आमची मागणी.
Viewers, Times Now's team, your channel's team, conducted this investigation in Maharashtra's Dawn. In fact, what the locals say is that in a year over 200 conversions take place in this part of Maharashtra alone. Moreover, Muslim men who get to convert Hindu girls are also rewarded between 4 to 5 lakhs. That's what the claims are, viewers. Remember, as I told you, in most of these cases, FIRs have been filed and the police have effected arrests. So prima facie, there is reason to suspect that these stories are not made up, as a large number of people seem to suggest. Now, here another witness who says that forced conversion and torture of young girls are an open secret, but everyone's too scared to speak up. Listen.
साल में कम से कम 100 से 200 के आसपास धर्मांतर होते हैं, ज़्यादा करके लड़कियां, बहुत ज़्यादा
लड़कियां।
हाँ।
कैसी लड़कियां, मतलब क्या उम्र में होती होंगी वो?
17-18, या जो कॉलेज में करते हैं, जो कॉलेज में रहते हैं, ज़्यादा करके उनका ब्रेन वॉश कर शादी की बात करते हैं, फिर बच्चे पीछे निकलने के बाद वापस से तलाक करके दूसरी शादी के लिए वो तैयार होते. पॉलिटिशियन भी उनको ही सपोर्ट करते, इसलिए कोई आवाज़ नहीं उठ रहा. जिसके घर में ऐसी परिस्थिति हो गई तो वो सिर्फ डर के चुप बैठ रहा. जब उसको पॉलिटिशियन से ही कोई न्याय नहीं मिल रहा तो फिर वो क्या करेगा. मैडम, दहशत मतलब मार तोड़ने की. जब उन्होंने मारा तो भी यहाँ का एक भी हिंदू कंप्लेंट नहीं दे सकता उनके खिलाफ.
मुस्लिम मतलब मारपीट करते हैं आप लोग?
मारपीट करते, भर चौक में लड़कियां छेड़ते, तब भी कुछ एक्शन नहीं होती है.
मतलब अगर शादी की तो पैसे मिलते हैं? पैसे
मिलते हिंदू लड़की से.
मुस्लिम लड़का हिंदू लड़की से?
हाँ, मुस्लिम लड़का हिंदू लड़की से शादी की तो पैसे मिलते.
कितने मिलते हैं?
5 लाख के आसपास. इसमें 2-3 नाम ऐसे उनके हिसाब में कोई कुछ एक्शन ही नहीं लेता.
जैसे कौन?
जैसे कि फारूक कुरैशी हुआ, कुमेल कुरैशी हुआ, फरहान कुरैशी हुआ और आसिफ कुरैशी हुआ. ऐसे और एक 2-3 जन हो गए तो इनके खिलाफ कोई कुछ बोलता ही नहीं.
Viewers, you heard that gentleman naming a few people. Well, Kumail Qureshi, alias Haji Sahab, has been arrested for being alleged mastermind of the forced conversion racket. He and his aides have been arrested for allegedly converting over 100 Hindus as well as conducting forced circumcisions. Our reporter Shivani tracked down where this individual operates from. Listen into this.
फिलहाल जिस जगह से हम रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, यहाँ के लोगों का पता लगाना इसलिए ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हो जाता है क्योंकि महाराष्ट्र के दौंड इलाके में इसी घर के अंदर स्थित रहने वाले कमील कुरैशी ने कई सारे अपने सहयोगियों के साथ मिलकर करीबन 100 लोगों से ज़्यादा लोगों को हिंदू समाज से मुसलमान समाज में शामिल किया है, और वो भी ज़बरदस्ती, बिना उनकी मर्जी से उन्हें डराकर, धमकाकर, बहला और फुसलाकर. यहाँ पर 2 लोगों को अरेस्ट किया गया है, जिसमें एक कुमेल कुरैशी है और उसी के साथ साथ उसका साथी आसिफ शेख बताया जा रहा है.
Now, viewers, even the Supreme Court has expressed deep concern over this serious issue. The top court said that it shouldn't be given a political color and that there is a difference between the right to freedom of religion and the right to convert. And the right to convert somebody is also not, in fact, without fetters. In fact, the Supreme Court had called the forced conversion serious issue in its December 5th observation. Forced religious conversion is very serious, said the court. Matter affects the security of the country. It's a serious issue, must not politicize it. Purpose of charity should not be conversion. This is what the Supreme Court itself has said. Clearly, all these cases, viewers, fall somewhere within the ambit of what the Supreme Court itself refers to forced conversions. Now let's open this up because we have a lot to talk about today, and we should hope to have a debate that is decorous, Let's not get personal. Let's not make insulting comments about each other. Let's just keep it above board. And I hope that the panelists tonight respect some of those red lines. As you know, viewers, we are not trying to promote any form of animosity here. We are only trying to bring out how the rights of some people are being brazenly disregarded. And we are going to try and ask, why is it that this is happening? So let me begin by asking a very simple question of Professor Atikur Rahman, Lokesh Jindal, Danish Qureshi Sahab, and the other panelists, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Ratan Sharda Sahab, and Sushil Pandit tonight. I want to first begin with Lokesh Jindal, leader of the Congress. Mr. Jindal, a few weeks back, Mr. D.K. Shivkumar in Bengaluru had made certain comments which seem to suggest that he doesn't believe that there are forced conversions going on. And let me quote him. And he talked also about his opposition to a either national or a statewide anti-conversion bill. And this is what he said. The bill is aimed at minorities and their institutions, in particular Christians. The BJP is alleging that they are converting the poor forcibly. This is baseless. There are no forcible conversions. Thousands of students from Hindu and other faiths attend schools, convent schools in the state. Are all these schools conversion centers? Unquote. Now, obviously, he was speaking about a specific story and a reaction of the BJP to that story. But here from a neighboring state, Maharashtra, we are getting you another context, another bunch of people who have been affected by the followers of another faith. But you understand what I'm trying to get at. There seems to be a degree of skepticism. Also, I just want to ask you, Mohan Bhagwat had talked about renouncing this supremacist mindset. Now, what if not a supremacist mindset is driving this forced conversion terror? Would you agree, sir?
Okay. Good evening, Rahul.
Good evening.
Rahul, I'll answer the first question that you asked. Mr. D.K. Shivkumar, he was referring to mass conversions. And now the conversions that we saw, they are criminal acts done by individuals. So they are liable to be punished as per the Indian Penal Code. Any person who is resorting to forceful conversion like this, that's a criminal offense. That's not propagation of religion at all. So that doesn't come under propagation or conversion to another person's religion. Secondly, with respect to the statement, yes, the statement with respect to LGBT was welcomed by Bhagwatji. That was a much welcome statement. And even the other statement, slight modification would have been better if rather than they, he would have used the word we. We all must shun away with supremacy. That would have been more welcomed. Because see, if you talk about Hindus and Muslims, we are living in a society where once in 30 years, we are bound to celebrate Muharram and Ram Navami together. One is the festival of grief, another is the festival of joy. So it is bound to come time and again. We are going to come face to face with each other. We have to resolve these differences amicably, peacefully, have a spirit of tolerance with both of us. So the statement is welcome, but it would have been better worded. It could have been better sent out. The message could have been better. I mean, it could have been in a better phrase altogether.
Sir, how much more reasonableness would you expect from Mohan Bhagwat? He has asked everybody, without any preconditions, Hindus, etc., to renounce what is this supremacist attitude. But I'm asking you, Mr. Jindal, would you concede that there is a need for a pan-national anti-conversion law, a strict anti-conversion law, and that what we are witnessing today stems from a supremacist outlook? Would you at least concede that?
Yes, Rahul, we already have enough provisions in the penal code, as well as with respect to the constitution also mentions it clearly. I mean, there was a PIL recently filed that there has to be a task force constituted so as to look into the matter of forced conversion and whatever is happening. But setting up commissions, setting up committees is not going to do away with this particular issue. It has to be more with bringing about awareness also, and rather than simply going in a legal way, we have to go from a social aspect, from the social way as well. In fact, we must take into account civil societies such as the ulemas and organizations, and they must appeal to the people. They must resist from such form of acts of converting another person's religion. People from all faiths, they must come together with a positive message to the society that this form of a tendency is not in the spirit of religion. They are doing a crime, not propagating religion at all. And then state coming up with some form of a positive law that would work better rather than state going unilaterally with it.
No, but this is rather strange because Lokesh Jindal, I remember when lynchings took place, the Congress supported a pan-national anti-lynching law. Even though anyone taking anyone's life, there are enough provisions in the IPC to basically punish those people. There is 320, there are 320B, there are several provisions. So why were you arguing for a above and beyond, more stringent anti-lynching law? And now why do you object to a above and beyond, more stringent, national level anti-conversion law? Isn't this hypocrisy?
No, I'll explain the difference between the two. In terms of anti-lynching law, there is usually a group of people, community all together.
Oh, I see.
Many of the times it is difficult to identify who the people were and who lynched that, whoever the individual was. And the law was absent on various counts. In fact, in public lynching, many of the times the perpetrators, they were able to get out of clean because of the legal loopholes. So therefore, there was a need for bringing about an anti-lynching law so that it could be prevented and the perpetrators are brought to justice. And this entire issue of a person being forcefully converted, there are enough legal provisions available. Any person who indulges, Supreme Court has given its clear
Now here is where viewers, you see the selectivity starts coming in. And this is directly linked to vote banks. Let me tell you this, directly linked. To appease one community, you will argue for their rights to be protected at whatever cost. And to once again appease that community, you will want to at some level or the other disadvantage the other group which is not.
Any way,
no, this is rather
strange. There is any way that can give us a desired result. We are open for that.
That's not your position, as you know. So I was only asking, I was trying to bring out the contradiction here. Let me bring in Abhijit Iyer Mitra. Mr. Ratan Sharda. Mr. Mitra, simple question to you. Would you say that this entire episode that you have now witnessed and you've heard these testimonies is driven by a supremacist mindset which many people here are very wary of commenting about for obvious reasons?
Thanks, Rahul. See, it is a supremacist mindset, but the supremacist mindset is sort of the poshak for, electoral gains, which this has been quite common throughout India for a very long time. It's also done in Pakistan for very similar reasons. What you see is, in much the same way as, land is encroached on in order to regularize that land and create a little voting pocket. What you see is that for certain communities, especially after communities that were disprivileged after 1857, the first war of independence, strength lies in powers, strength lies in numbers, and there is a need to keep increasing those numbers by hook or by crook and demonstrate a sense of power, create a sort of power equation, a street power equation, so to say. Number one. Number two, this need to convert forcibly plays into a lot of this. The mindset is supremacist, but the need is more of a political thing, which is usually exploited by politicians, but it does very much play to a supremacist mindset. And why are we surprised about this? This tells us two things: how bad our law and order are out here, where you can't seek legal recourse for something like this. And second, this is not unique to India. We're seeing this pattern everywhere. In the UK, they're called grooming gangs. In India, it is called love jihad. Remember that term love jihad wasn't coined by Hindus. It was coined by the church in Kerala. It was the church in Kerala that brought it up and propagated it. And how often have you heard this coming out of Pakistan? Almost every single day, where some Hindu girl or the other or a Christian girl is taken from their home and forcibly converted. At least in Pakistan, you can say it is supremacist, but in India and UK, it is a supremacist mindset of the masses, but it is quite clearly done for political reasons, for creating political mass and street terror. And let's be clear, it is street terror. It doesn't fit the classical definition of terrorism, but it is done to cow down a certain community or that can be seen at some point of time to threaten a political base.
Okay, so let me bring in Mr. Danish Qureshi, AIMM sympathizer. Mr. Qureshi, is that the reason why the AIMM led by Asaduddin Owaisi opposes, for example, the UP anti-conversion law? The statement that has been attributed to Mr. Owaisi is that UP anti-conversion law would make Baba Saheb Ambedkar a criminal. Look at the way you politicize this, and you try to turn what the Supreme Court says a very serious issue into a polarizing one. Now, sir, that cannot be in the interest of maintaining communal harmony or building trust, can it?
Now, what is the problem, Rahul, with our country is that instead of criticizing the policy of the federal government, unemployment and youth unemployed and inflation and all, we are talking on conversion. What's the problem? The second problem with our people is that RSS wants an anti-conversion law in all the state with Ghar Vapsi clause. Ghar Vapsi is not a conversion, but if anybody is converting from one religion to other, that is a jihad or whatever they want to say, that however they want to politicize that word. Things are very clear. The Freedom of Religion Act was been amended in Gujarat in 2021, which has been stayed by Gujarat High Court, and now state government of Gujarat had filed an appeal in the Supreme Court of country. Now, on 27 December 2021, what did Bhagwat ji said? Ghar Vapsi is the main goal. Ghar Vapsi lana hamara mukhya lakshya hai, said by RSS chief. This is not a conversion?
Sir, we are on the question First of all, we are not, one second. We are on the question of forcible conversion, sir, which is an act which is criminal. Okay, so let's make that distinction. All these anti-conversion laws that are being sought to be brought about criminalize this with more stringent punishments, which you have a problem with. And let me also tell you, while we are on the point, sir, of conversions, let me also tell you, and I want us to, all our viewers, to listen to this. Remember, viewers, here on Times Now, we only deal in hard facts. And Mr. Qureshi says that, we should be talking about other issues and the problem with the media as well. The Supreme Court, no less, is seized of this matter and is expressing concern. So quite clearly,
no, not problem with media. Rahul, my
problem.
question is not to media.
Oh, it's nobody.
My question to RSS. My question to the chief of RSS.
Yes, sir. One second. Let me just say. Listen to this, viewers. This is very, very important. No fundamental right to convert in this country. So even conversion is not a fundamental right, Mr. Sharda. Reverend Stanislav versus State of Madhya Pradesh, this is what the Supreme Court ruled in 77. We have no doubt that it is in this sense that the word propagate has been used in Article 25(1). For what the article grants is not the right to convert another person to one's own religion, but to transmit or spread one's religion by an exposition of its tenets. It has to be remembered that Article 25(1) guarantees freedom of conscience to every citizen and not merely to the followers of one particular religion, and that in turn postulates that there is no fundamental right to convert another person to one's own religion, because if a person purposely undertakes the conversion of another person to his religion as distinguished from his effort to transmit or spread the tenets of his religion, that would impinge on the freedom of conscience guaranteed to all the citizens of the country alike. So, Mr. Jindal, there is also not that freedom. So, Ratan Sharda, when You hear Mr. Qureshi accusing Mr. Bhagwat of saying ghar wapsi, etc., etc. How do you respond to him? Do you think this is an attempt to once again try and politicize what he is saying and misrepresent it, to spread disinformation, etc., to draw false equivalences, or is this the fact?
See, before I respond to very vague arguments and very superfluous argument, Danish Qureshi, let me make some basic points. First of all, thanks to you that you are trying to bell the cat when nobody touched the topic. Where for years together we have been abused of saying that love jihad is a myth. There is no love jihad. There have been cases and cases. You talk to Arsha Yoga Vidya Kendra in Kerala. They have documented cases how it happens. Then there are 3 books that I have read. One is Love Jihad Predatory Dawa. Second is Love Jihad by Ram Irani and Mihir. Third in Hindi. Third is Love Jihad by another lady, Sunila Sohni. And so there are enough documentations that show, I had gone to Ujjain, a lady had real cases in her file. She made a fictional story because she was scared of the love jihad or she would be, attacked. Now this is one thing. Secondly, as Abhijit pointed out, love jihad story started coming up in 1990s. Some months back, I interviewed 2 clerics from Kerala from different sects, and one particular sect said that they have a document of 3,000 Christian girls, either who have vanished or have been taken away and not available to the family, who have been converted through love jihad. There is Satya Sarani in Kerala, which is known to do this, a documented case of converting, doctoring girls, then those girls converted who are sent to ISI, etc. All these cases are also well known. And when you say don't create animosity, the very fact that the kind of cases you have brought up, they show it's basically animosity. What can make somebody give money, forcefully convert people, cruelly do khatna and all that, unless there is sense of animosity, plus the sense of supremacy that we will rule the world and India again, as MIM chief has said and many others have said, the Congress Maulvis have said. Then Congress has been very, Mr. Jindal today has been a bit courageous when he said that this will be condemned. Then he goes back to say there needs to be tolerance. It is not tolerance, my friend, we need respect. That is the problem. You are not tolerating us because this is a Hindu state, Hindu country for thousands of years before Islam and Christianity was born. And when you come here, you have to respect when you get converted for whatever reason. Just like a Muslim who gets converted through invasions, he is also as Indian as we are. So why should you try to force that particular identity of invaders on locals so they feel that they have to come back to power by whatever means and convert people? So by 5-6 few cases of lynching, you create a havoc saying that lynching ke liye law aana chahiye, lynching needs a law. But during the same time, 150 Hindu activists are killed by extremists, but there is no need for law.
Okay,
today pass a law for lynching, just a moment. And from 1940s, there have been a series of cases, riots. People were punished under the same law. Today he wants a law. And what is the talk of, having conversation? From 1990s this is happening. You keep
let me get a response.
Today you see that you need a conversation.
Okay, let me get a response. Mr. Jindal, that's what I was talking about, the hypocrisy.
Rahul, the anti-conversion law in Uttar Pradesh.
You want a communal violence bill. Now there are many. Now, one second. There are many laws in the IPC to punish rioters, and they are being punished. It's not as if rioting is only happening today. It's happened from 1947, the day this nation was birthed. We know this.
Before
and
that,
people have gone to jail. You want an anti-lynching law, but you don't want an anti-conversion law. Why, sir?
Rahul, the anti-conversion law in UP that was introduced, it has been a year and hardly 100 cases have been registered under it. The point is, if
100 is not good enough.
No, sir, please let me complete. If it is such an issue, so we see that these laws are ineffective in dealing with this problem. The idea is that in order to deal
this
with
is a
this
bizarre. No, hang on, Mr. Jindal. What a bizarre number. Now I want to bring in Mr. Sushil Pandit. You see, if tomorrow there was an anti-lynching law, there would be perhaps one case or maybe 2. So should we not have it? You see, viewers, laws are made to secure the interests of minorities, not in the sense that I am talking about, not religious minorities, viewers. Those who are the weakest. But unfortunately,
after one
one
year,
second.
one
No,
year,
that doesn't matter, sir. Even
we
one
have
person's
only-
life is not important to you, or what?
It is very important. So in order to
This
deal
kind
with
of
such
mindset,
issues, there's
I'm
already
actually
a
shocked.
criminal
Let me bring in
code that is
Sushil.
there.
Let me bring in
An Indian
Sushil
penal
Pandit.
code is there which criminalizes such
Let's
acts.
bring in Professor Atikur Rahman and Sushil Pandit. Mr. Pandit, I remember slogans like Relive, Selive, Galive. What were these slogans? And what was the impact?
Yes. See, relive, selive, galive. Relive means to assimilate, which means to convert. Galive means to die, which means you just disappear from this earth. And selive is to flee, which means if you don't follow first two, then you have an option, and be grateful for this option, that you run away from this land. Now these were the three options given to us, rhyming options for the sake of aesthetics, if that was needed. And that is what led to 500,000 Hindus cleansed from the land where they lived, their ancestors lived, who actually inhabited the region, civilized the region. An entire culture was completely destroyed. What Aurangzeb could not achieve in his time was achieved in these modern times of human rights and anti-genocide conventions, democracy, so on and so forth. Now, be that as it may, whenever I mention this, my friends like Atikur Rahman quote to me, Lakum deenukum waliyakum. You know, this is Surah Kafirun in Quran, which says, to you your religion and faith, and to me mine, which means we can coexist. Now these are very specious arguments, and my friend will concede here that this is, not enough cover to hide under. Whatever the scripture may say, in practice you see a completely different mindset. And within those scriptures, when you reward people for converting others into the faith, when you promise them Jannah for having brought in Kafirun from Jahiliyyah to Noor, when you actually make people Ghazis for having liquidated Kafirs, all this flies in the face of Lakum deenukum waliyakum. No, this contradiction has to be explained. I'm sure my friend Atikur Rahman will have a good reason for it, but today I would like him to use his candor and honesty, like he always does, to concede that there is a huge body of mindless people trying to either kill or convert. That's what is happening across the board. I don't know for what. I of course know for what, because they want to cleanse this land of kafirs, they want to cleanse this land of unbelievers, and unbelievers are, so Anand Ranganathan would have at least 20 such quotes from the scriptures to tell you, they are the most hated creatures on earth, and Allah's wrath would be visited upon them.
Sure, let me tell you, viewers, we are not talking about everybody. We are talking about a few people who refuse to give up their ways. There are some deviants. But viewers, deviancy can become the norm. It may not just remain the exception. It can become the norm very quickly if there is acceptance and if people don't stand up against it. Professor Atikur Rahman, would you not agree with me? But I don't find that energy in people to come up and stand against this. In fact, let me tell you, sir, that the demand for a anti-lynching law, for example, in the court was made by Hindu barristers. But people like Asaduddin Owaisi mock, who's a barrister himself, mock Hindus who demand a stricter anti-conversion law. What does this tell you? This tells you that the desire for comity between communities is greater on one side than on the other. Doesn't it tell you that? Professor Atikur Rahman?
Fine, Rahul. Of course, the desire for comity should be equal on both sides. But as a researcher on Islamic studies, as Sushil Pandit ji has, pointed certain questions to me, it's incumbent on me to clarify those points.
Sure.
Most of the Muslims who believe that I will be getting a Jannah, heavens for converting people, I would like to give a message, clear message to them that that's not the purpose of Allah or the Quran. If you want to enter Jannah, any of the Muslims want to enter Jannah, there are other great, areas wherein they can work upon. And one prominent thing which has come to light in the last 24 hours is by the Sikh community, Rahul, who is offering free housing and free food to people of Joshimath in Uttarakhand. That's the righteous attitude which Allah demands. If any of the Muslims want to enter Jannah, provide food to the poor, provide shelter to the poor, or you will be entering Jannah. No need to convert. Sushil Pandit ji, another aspect you said that Surah Kafirun is not in tune with what the people into conversion are. You are correct, sir. And Surah Kafirun, you are misquoting somewhere here. It's Lakum Deenukum Waliyadeen. Of course, you are not familiar with Arabic, that's why. So, to you, your religion, and to me, my religion. That's perfect. Rahul, but the political side of all these arguments are very much different from what is the Islamic point of view. As you pointed out, Rahul, that the Supreme Court has not a last word on this yet. The Supreme Court, of course, pointed out the seriousness of this issue. Along with it, on the 1st of January, the same Supreme Court also pointed out that all conversions can't be illegal. On the MP law on anti-conversion law, this is reported in the Times of India, 4th January 2023. The Maharashtra government, Rahul, is finding all excuses and alibis because they are into getting a anti-conversion law.
See, that's
and that is why this story is
so are you
down
saying that these poor people? No, one second. No, now I grossly disagree with you, and I want to bring in Mr. Mitra. Mr. Mitra, look at this. These people, these individuals that we have gone and interviewed, have suffered, and despite that they're speaking up. They bear the physical symptoms, the signs of this terrible atrocity. We have in our panel tonight Sushil Pandit, who has been scarred, traumatized by 3 words. And are we saying today that this is once again some RSS conspiracy to push through a law to burnish their image amongst Hindus? Mr. Iyer, I mean, how do you respond to this?
Look, denial has always been one part of this, you see. I don't know why some people take it upon themselves to, defend or deny the indefensible. It's the Quran. You have a choice for every surah that you find saying go kill this or whatever. I can find one that says forgive. What we have to ask ourselves is why do community leaders choose to defend the worst of their kind, who choose the worst possible interpretation they can from the Quran? Where is the social movement you see amongst Muslims in India that goes on promoting, the hundreds of surahs within the Quran which you could use for peace, not to go around converting people, etc., etc., etc.? This is a sociological problem. This is a very deep sociological problem. And as long as we see this kind of denialism happen,
and also let me tell you,
there is no solution.
If we are talking about hard facts, let me tell you that it's not as if conversions en masse are not being allowed. Qureshi Saab, Jindal Saab, Rahman Saab. Yes, one second, Mr. Pandey. I just want to bring in some statistics in Gujarat. There were 1,895 applications for conversions received between 2014 and 2019. 1,005 conversions were allowed to go ahead, despite Gujarat having an anti-conversion bill law, rather. So to constantly mythicize that this is some attempt at trying to create some kind of apartheid in society, ban the intermingling of people, is wrong. This is the statistical evidence. This is it. And let me tell you, compared to a total of 1,789 Hindu applicants between July 1st, 2014 and June 20th, 2019, 82 applicants were Muslims and 22 were Christians. There was only one Sikh applicant and one Ismaili Khoja applicant during the 5-year period. This data was placed before the Gujarat Assembly. So this is absolutely kosher data. So it doesn't mean that if you have a national level anti-conversion law, conversions will stop and people will be robbed of their rights. That's why, viewers, it's very important to cut through this. I didn't like the fact that Professor here said that, oh, you know, this is all an RSS conspiracy, a BJP conspiracy, etc. Because if you are implying, on the other hand, Professor Atikur Rahman, that there has been a hijack of the faith by a few, as you seem to be suggesting, then why not speak up against it? Sushil Pandit, how many people came onto the streets? How many of your Muslim neighbors came out onto the street protesting the 3 words?
Precisely. No, they won't, Rahul, because the very fundamentals of their faith underscore the fact that there is only one God worthy of worshipping, and all other gods are false gods, and this is proclaimed 5 times a day. The point is, if my gods are disparaged, if my faith is called out as a false faith, then it all starts from there.
It all starts from there.
If you do not respect my faith, if you call my gods false gods, then of course it gives you a legitimate license to convert me.
Professor Saab, could you respond?
No, Rahul, I would like to rebut this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rahul, yeah, I would like to rebut this. You know, this supremacy of Islam, with even the RSS chief pointed out, has been denied by the Islamic scholars like Dr. Rafiq Zakaria also and Maulana Abul Kalam Azad also.
Right.
Dr. Rafiq Zakaria points out in his book The Widening Divide, an insight into Hindu-Muslim relations, that supremacy of Islam is not conveyed by the Quran. The supremacist attitude is condemned by the Quran of the Christians and the Jews. No supremacy of either the Jews or the Islamic people or the Christians is established, because Allah commands righteousness.
Right.
Only the
so tell me something, Professor.
Serving the
Professor
poor
Atikur Rahman.
Professor
Rahman, let me ask you then, and I think Ratan Sharda. One second. Let me ask you, Professor. Then what happens in Pakistan, which is an Islamist state? What happens there? Forcible conversions, point of the gun, or in the face of a bottle of acid, or, viewers, as you know, through kidnappings. Every day there is a story. What has happened in Bangladesh? Professor Rahman, can you explain?
But Rahul, Pakistan is not an exact example of an Islamic state.
Right.
If I want to learn Hinduism, I would rather go to Swami Vivekanand, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. How can I believe that my Hindus should go to Pakistan to learn Quran and Islam?
Right.
Please.
So
they are not the rightful, people to dictate what exactly the Quran says.
So there are people. Professor Rahman.
Pakistan is not an Islamic state.
Let me go to Professor Rahman to ask just one question, Rahul.
Yeah, go ahead.
May I ask Professor Rahman just one question, if you allow me?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
In the Shahada, Professor Rahman, you say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah means there is no other God except Allah. Do you bear witness to this or not? Do you deny me my gods or not?
Okay, I would like to answer this, Rahul. I would like to answer this.
Go ahead.
But where is the compulsion is this? Rahul, is it not true that Vishwakarma, Prajapati, Maryada Purushottam Ram is also somewhat having supremacy within its core philosophy of Hinduism? Every religion has a right to claim
Ratan
that
Sharda
their
raising
religion
his
is
hand.
supreme, but there cannot be any compulsion.
Ratan Sharda wants to
Rahul.
quickly respond.
La ilaha illallah, there
Yes.
is no God but God.
Okay.
There are too many myths being floated by Mr. Atikur Rahman, who I respect a lot, because he has the courage to many times speaks against his own people. I remember just yesterday or day before yesterday on Nupur Sharma issue, very rabid Islamist nearly threatened him for saying that we should forgive Nupur, and he was nearly threatened, abused by a person who claimed to be a Lama person. Now, secondly, when he says that he has supremacist attitude, show me one scriptures of Hindus which says that convert other people, that says that other religions are lower than our religion, which says that you have no right to reach Allah or God if you don't do this, and if you do this you will lose your right to go to Allah, you will be kafir, you will be fallen sinful people, and you need to be converted or you need to be made secular citizen. Nowhere, not one scripture. So to say that we have supremacist attitude is misguiding people and actually falsifying his own case.
Okay,
Secondly,
I'm glad that you mentioned.
I have to respond to Danish also.
Rahul, can I just make one point?
Remember, we were all Hindus. Some people became Christian or Muslims. By consent, they go back to their original roots. That does not mean conversion. That means reconversion, going back to their own roots. And there is no force. Show me one case where a person who has come back to Hindu fold has been forced, has been bloodied or killed or moved. And there is such a love that they talk about. Why does a person have to convert to Islam to get married? How many Islamists who have genuine love marriage actually say we will have civil marriage? Why there is forced by the Maulvis and others to convert before they get married? So there is a lot of unquestioned issues. Then there is a organization called Nahdlatul Ulama in Indonesia. Does Professor he knows about it, Atikur, does he have the courage to set up such an institution which will de-radicalize Muslims? Hindus can't do it. Government cannot do it. It is for this society that is to go back to say, see, there are two versions, there are not two Qurans, there is one Quran.
Okay.
Terrorists quote one part of Quran and modest like Atikur
Well, let me
part
say,
of Quran.
there's a
Will they ever
solution.
come out honestly?
There is a solution.
They are going to follow?
If it was not a question of supremacist outlook, viewers, an apology for an infraction would have been accepted. But let me tell you, viewers, that there were individuals here yesterday, and you might have watched that debate, that said that even if Nupur, and she has apologized, or others, if they do apologize, it still doesn't matter. They could even serve their terms in jail, but it wouldn't matter. Now, what does that tell you, viewers? What does that tell you? It tells you something, but the point is, I hope we are only talking about a small minority, and minority as in a minority within a minority. I just hope that Professor...
Rahul, I will differ on that.
No, one second, sir. 1 second. I'm not going to... No, 1 second. I'm not going to generalize, sir, because I believe that there is good in every human being. Some people, for their own political ends, will try to warp the weft of a faith or a text, etc., to suit their political ends. But 1 second. But what is important, Professor, since you make the point, is that if people are hijacking your good faith, then a large number of you, the majority of you, should stand up. We don't see that. And that's where the worry is. And that's why I said, if a Hindu can champion a bill to stop anti-lynching, then a Muslim should champion a bill for anti-conversion. Wouldn't that be a beautiful gesture? Would it not be? It would be. Let's hope that happens. That's perhaps the test we need to look at. I need to move on, viewers, because there's a very important story that Times Now is reporting. In Maharashtra, Times Now is hot on the trail of an arms cache, which begins from border states of India and ends up in some of the most communally sensitive towns of Maharashtra. Last evening, 31 swords were recovered from Malegaon. As you know, viewers, Malegaon is a communal hotbed. It has even seen rioting, blasts. There are cases. Now, these arms that you're seeing on your screen were being transported from Ajmer. But Times Now will reveal the pan-India pattern of this suspected terror trail, because this is just the first in a long series of recoveries. There have been at least 6 such massive hauls of weapons in the state. So far, 285 swords have been seized in raids in the last 10 months alone. And I'm only talking about swords. I'm not talking about commando knives, etc., and the other weaponry. What's worrying is that the origins are from border states of Rajasthan, Punjab, which have Pakistan framing them. From there, these swords are being pushed into communal tinderboxes like Malegaon and several other areas of Maharashtra where the peace has been tenuous. A labourer, Parvez, in this instance, was found to be transporting 31 swords from Ajmer for a man named Pappa Bhaiya, a local strongman. In fact, Pappa Bhaiya is already in custody after this video from his birthday bash, which shows him cutting a cake with a sword, went viral. But they are just the larger part or a smaller part of a larger puzzle. The police now are looking to unravel a larger riot conspiracy which is pan-India. This seems to be part of a well-orchestrated, well-funded and meticulous plot. Listen in, viewers.
8 बुट्टी 10 चाकू आणि 5 कोकरी असे एकूण 31 हत्यार मिळून आलेले आहेत. आरोपी एकच अटक झालेला आहे. त्यांच्या उद्देशाबद्दल विचारपूस चालू आहे.
These swords are being brought from sources like Punjab and Rajasthan, so that nobody comes to know that such a large quantity of swords or such weapons have been brought in. Indicates that there is a planned conspiracy to create communal disturbances in the state.
Now, viewers, let me tell you where these weapons are coming from and where they are being sent. Punjab to Aurangabad. The first instance, 37 swords via courier. So they land up from Punjab to Aurangabad. And this is all happening through courier. So there's no person-to-person interface. Punjab to Pimpri Chinchwad in Maharashtra, 5th April 2022, 97 swords, again courier. Chittorgarh, Dhule, from Chittorgarh to Dhule, 28th April 2022, 90 swords came through a Scorpio car. Jalna, 25th June 2022, 9 swords recovered from a house. Ahmednagar, 18th October 2022, 21 swords recovered from a shop. Ajmer to Malegaon, 12th Jan, which is the latest one, 2023, 31 swords recovered from a car, and the person, the courier who was bringing it, has been arrested, and so is the recipient. But what's the bigger picture, viewers? Here's why the armed cache seemed to be part of a bigger conspiracy. First alarm. Arms haul have taken place exclusively in communally sensitive areas, which are prone to interfaith discord. They've been sent from border states, Punjab and Rajasthan, that are flanked by Pakistan. The third alarm. Crossing state borders shows that there is been a failure at some level of tracking and obviously of security. The quantum of recovery show that these are being used to arm a large number of people. This is not one sword or 2 knives. This is mass armament. Police are now probing a larger riot conspiracy aimed perhaps at stirring mass trouble. Now, viewers, we have seen in the past swords like this being used to attack certain individuals who, let's say, for example, recently spoke up for even Nupur Sharma recently, viewers. We've seen all of that. Obviously, the ruling establishment today in Maharashtra is alarmed and is lashing out at the past Aghadi government for turning a blind eye Listen to this, viewers.
इन हथियारों का क्या काम? इन हथियारों से किसे क्या करना है? क्या किसी की कोई दंगे फैलाने की मंशा है? इसके पीछे कौन से गुट है? उस वक्त की ठाकरे सरकार ने जानबूझकर इसे अनदेखा क्यों करा? इसकी तफ्तीश क्यों नहीं करी? इस बात का जवाब उद्धव ठाकरे जी समेत कांग्रेस और राष्ट्रवादी दल को भी देना होगा।
महाराष्ट्र में कानून का राज है। सारे जो पापा हैं सब पोते बन जाएंगे, सबको ठिकाने लगा दिया जाएगा। यहाँ पे महाराष्ट्र में केवल एक ही दादा रहेगा और वो कानून रहेगा।
ठीक है, मैं उचित समय पर उसकी जानकारी दूंगा।
Well, viewers, obviously this is a matter of deep concern, and Times Now is going to constantly follow this story to discover and unearth the motivation behind this whole. Let's hope, viewers, that we can keep the peace. I'll leave it at that. The news are.
The smartphone category in India is anyway popular, right? उसमें भी जो 20 से 25 हजार वाले स्मार्टफोन्स हैं वो और भी ज्यादा पॉपुलर हैं। शायद इसीलिए इन्फिनिक्स ने आज अपना 020 स्मार्टफोन लॉन्च कर दिया है। I have the smartphone with me right here और इसको आज करेंगे अनबॉक्स। Hi, you're watching Gadget Time. This is me, Pavni Jain, and it's time for me to unbox this device और देखते हैं फोन में आपको क्या-क्या contents दिखाई देंगे। Let's begin. फोन अनबॉक्स हो चुका है। जैसे कि आपने देखा यहाँ पर स्टिकर उतारते हुए मैंने इसे थोड़ा सा गंद मचा दी। यहाँ पे स्टिकर ऑलरेडी दिखाई दे रहा है, बट इसको क्लीन करेंगे बाद में। अभी बात करेंगे स्मार्टफोन के बारे में। थोड़ा सा मुझे वेट इसका ज्यादा लग रहा है, वो यूज करने के बाद पता चलेगा कि ये कितना कंफर्टेबल है। अदर देन दैट यू गेट 3 कैमराज एट द बैक। इसको आपको मिलेगा स्क्वायरिश कैमरा मॉड्यूल के अंदर। द मेन कैमरा इज 108 मेगापिक्सल और यही इसका यूएसपी है। सिर्फ बैक कैमरास की बात नहीं है बॉस, आपको फ्रंट कैमरा भी बहुत ही धांसू दिखाई दे रहा है। एटलीस्ट ऑन द स्पेक शीट यूज करने पे पता चलेगा कि कितना अच्छा है या नहीं अच्छा है। फ्रंट कैमरा जो इसका है वो आपको मिलता है 60 मेगापिक्सल का फ्रंट शूटर। आपको इसमें दिखाई देगा फुल HD प्लस एमोलेड पैनल। बेजल्स थोड़े से मुझे मोटे दिखाई दे रहे हैं, टॉप और बॉटम वाला स्पेशली। साइड बेजल्स आर स्टिल स्लिम। व्हाट कीप्स दिस स्मार्टफोन अलाइव इज Helio G99 चिपसेट। बैटरी की बात करें तो इसमें आपको मिलता है 45 वॉट का फास्ट चार्जिंग सिस्टम, विच इज प्रिटी गुड। एट द बॉटम यू ऑल्सो गेट अ 3.5 mm हेडफोन जैक एंड दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, क्योंकि आजकल के फोन में ये आपको बिल्कुल दिखाई नहीं देता है। सो यू डू नॉट हैव टू जस्ट रिलाई ऑन योर वायरलेस ईयरबड्स। आप यहाँ पर अपने वायर्ड हेडफोन्स का भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। स्पीकर के साथ आपको मिलता है Type-C पोर्ट। ऊपर की तरफ माइक्रोफोन है। राइट साइड पे आपको मिलता है वॉल्यूम रॉकर और साथ में पावर बटन। लेफ्ट साइड इज प्रीटी क्लीन, लेकिन यहाँ पे आपको मिलता है सिम ट्रे और सिम इंजेक्टर टूल बॉक्स में आपको मिलता है, वो मैं दिखा चुकी हूँ। यहीं पर सिम ट्रे की बात करते करते मेरी नजर गई है फ्रेम पर, विच इज प्रीटी ग्लॉसी। मेटल तो नहीं है, लेकिन ऐसा फील जरूर दे रहा है दैट इट्स मेटल। बाकी ये था मेरा ओवरऑल लुक एट द स्मार्टफोन। अगर आप जानना चाहते हैं कि क्या आपको ये खरीदना चाहिए एट अराउंड ₹20,000-25,000, क्या ये अच्छा ऑप्शन है या नहीं, उसके लिए यू रियली नीड टू स्टे ट्यून्ड टू गैजेट टाइम्स टू फाइंड आउट इट्स फुल रिव्यू। नाउ यू गाइज नो द ड्रिल, लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब एंड जस्ट स्टे ट्यून्ड टू गैजेट टाइम्स। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग दिस वीडियो।
You clever, make for more. You want more, and you can take me to the top. Yeah, I'd like to see you try. Like to see you try. Get my hands on you. You're gonna turn black, you're gonna turn blue. Why? Some real bad news. It's not me, it's you.
On the show tonight, viewers,
Centre informs Top Court on how there is no consensus between the centre and states for giving minority status to Hindus in states and union territories where they are not majority. Days after 7 Kashmiri Hindus were identified and eliminated by terrorists in Rajouri, Amit Shah holds a high-level meeting to review the security situation in Jammu. Stalin ups the ante against Governor R.N. Ravi, writes letter to President Murmu, says Governor maintaining an ideological and political conflict with the state government. Row over Tamil Nadu name change proposal continues. DMK ally VCK stages protest outside Raj Bhavan, demands governance.
Let's get it started here, you know it's game time. Ain't no excuses tolerated why you can't grind. It's like you're on the job, you know they came in.
Hello everyone, ये है बजाज की नई पल्सर P150. इन केस यू वंडरिंग 150 ऑलरेडी मौजूद है, तो इस P वर्जन को लाने का कारण क्या है, मतलब क्या है? सो कारण बहुत सारे हैं, डिज़ाइन को लेकर, फीचर्स को लेकर और कुछ हद तक परफॉर्मेंस को लेकर भी इस P वर्जन में बदलाव देखने को मिलते हैं. तो क्या है वो सारे बदलाव इस नई पल्सर P150 में, उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूं इस रिव्यू के अंदर. और रिव्यू के एंड में बात करेंगे 3 धांसू और 3 नॉट धांसू एलिमेंट्स मुझे क्या लगते हैं इस बजाज पल्सर P150 के बारे में. अब डिज़ाइन की बात करें तो यहाँ पर जो नयापन देखने को मिल रहा है, स्पेशली ओवरऑल 150 जो पल्सर है उसके मुकाबले इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिज़ाइन पूरी आपको ये P150 तक देखने को मिलेगी, लेकिन आपको ओवरऑल जो एसेंस है डिज़ाइन का वो इसमें N160 वाला देखने को मिलने वाला है. फ्रंट हालांकि अलग है यहाँ पे, लेकिन अब इसमें P150 में प्रोजेक्टर हेडलैम्प्स दिए गए हैं एंड इसमें DRLs भी यहाँ पर इसमें देखने को मिलते हैं. अग्रेसिव, स्पोर्टी एंड शार्प एलिमेंट्स इसके डिज़ाइन में यहाँ पर देखने को मिल रहे हैं. एंड साइड प्रोफाइल जो ओवरऑल है वो आपको N160 वाला ही झलक थ्रू आउट इसके साइड प्रोफाइल में देखने को मिलने वाला है. टैंक से लेकर इसके रियर पैनल्स यहाँ तक जो जाते हैं तो ओवरऑल वो लुक कुछ वैसा ही है, लेकिन अग्रेसिव और शार्प काफ़ी ये इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिज़ाइन पहले के मुकाबले लग रही है. देन पल्सर की बड़ी सी ब्रांडिंग यहाँ दी गई है एंड यहाँ काउल अलग से देखने को मिल रहा है टैंक पे. एंड देयर इज बेली पैन जो यहाँ पे नीचे दिया गया है, जो बॉडी कलर के हिसाब से दिया गया है. एंड P150 की ब्रांडिंग यहाँ पर इसमें देखने को मिल रही है. सीट्स जो है इसमें स्प्लिट सीट्स आती हैं. इसमें 2 वेरिएंट हैं, SD और TD. एंड जो इसका स्टार्टिंग वेरिएंट है SD उसमें सिंगल सीट है. इसमें जो है जो टॉप वेरिएंट है इसका उसमें TD सीट दी गई है. दोनों वेरिएंट में जो अंतर हैं कुछ मैं बताता हूँ आपको कौन कौन से हैं. एक तो सीट का हो गया, दूसरा ये जो वर्जन है इसमें क्लिप ऑन हैंडल बार्स आते हैं थोड़ा स्पोर्टी स्टांस के लिए, लेकिन जो SD वर्जन है उसमें जो है सिंगल फ्रेम दिया गया है हैंडल बार का, तो वो थोड़ा अपराइट पोजिशनिंग के साथ उसका स्टांस रखा गया है. एंड उसके अलावा जो ब्रेक्स हैं, डिस्क ब्रेक्स हैं, इसमें जो है ड्यूअल डिस्क ब्रेक मिलती हैं एंड दूसरे वेरिएंट में सिंगल डिस्क ब्रेक दी गई है. सिंगल चैनल ABS दोनों ही वेरिएंट में मिलता है, उसमें कोई कटौती नहीं करी गई है. एंड ये कुछ चेंजेस यहाँ पर इन टर्म्स ऑफ बोथ वेरिएंट्स इन दोनों P150 के दोनों वर्जन्स में देखने को मिलते हैं. इसके अलावा रियर में भी टेल लाइट जो है LED इस्तेमाल करी गई है, हालांकि इंडिकेटर्स आगे पीछे हेलोजन बल्ब का इस्तेमाल यहाँ पर देखने को मिल रहा है. सो स्टांस स्पोर्टी, अग्रेसिव पहले के मुकाबले, पल्सर 150 के मुकाबले यहाँ
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few days ago, Gandhi loyalists compared Rahul Gandhi to Lord Ram. He called him a yogi who is doing tapasya or penance. Today, as the world saw firsthand the evidence of the construction of the Bhavya Ram Mandir on track for January 1 Darshan deadline, there are many who are asking, it is not the BJP that is walking the talk on its commitment to Lord Ram and Hindu Astha. In just a year from now, that is 1st of January 2024, the Ram Mandir will be complete and Ram Bhakts will soon be able to pay their obeisance to Maryada Purushottam. This was publicly declared by Home Minister Amit Shah in Tripura, and after that it was going to be Champat Rai who repeated the same. The Yogi Sarkar opened the door for all to see the temple where Ram Lalla was Virajman and will recite. 60% of the work is done, and with the speed with which the work is going, the remaining 40% will not take much time. Here's a report from the Mandir side. No. Take a look at the Mandir side.
ये तस्वीरें आप देखिए, मंदिर के चारों ओर परकोटा इस तरीके से बनकर तैयार होगा और करीब 50,000 लोगों की कैपेसिटी होगी कि एक साथ एक समय पर लोग खड़े हो सकते हैं। जो भव्य मंदिर होगा, यानी जहां पर इस वक्त हमारी मौजूदगी है, ये 161 फीट ऊंचा मंदिर होगा, जिसमें 21 फीट करीब करीब बन चुका है। 17,000 ग्रेनाइट पत्थरों का इस्तेमाल अभी तक हो चुका है और इंटरलॉकिंग करते हुए, जिसका जिक्र आपसे थोड़ी देर पहले जगदीश जी कर रहे थे। इंटरलॉकिंग यानी जो इस तरीके के सांचे बनाए गए हैं, इनके ऊपर दूसरे ग्रेनाइट के पत्थर रखे जाएं और किस तरीके से इन सांचों के द्वारा, और साथ ही यहां पर कॉपर के पिन होंगे, उनके जरिए कैसे अगले ग्रेनाइट पत्थर इंटरलॉक हो जाएंगे, इसकी व्यवस्था, यानी एक अलग तरीके का मंदिर जो करीब 1000 साल तक रहे, जिसकी मजबूती हो और उसमें किसी भी धातु का इस्तेमाल ना हो। इसके साथ ही जो पिलर्स के बारे में अगर मैं आपको बात बताऊं तो ग्राउंड फ्लोर पर 166 पिलर होंगे, फर्स्ट फ्लोर पर 144 और दूसरे फ्लोर पर 82 पिलर होंगे। मुख्य मंदिर जो यानी जो गर्भगृह के आसपास का जो पूरा एरिया है, ये 350 बाई 250 फीट एरिया में बनेगा, जिसमें 12 प्रवेश द्वार होंगे। यानी बड़ी तादाद में श्रद्धालु यहां पर पहुंचेंगे दर्शनों के लिए, तो उनको किस तरीके से मैनेज करना है, इसकी भी बाकायदा व्यवस्था की गई है। इसीलिए समय लग रहा है और समय के साथ इस बात का भी ध्यान रखा जा रहा है कि किस तरीके से जो श्रद्धालु यहां पर लाखों करोड़ों की तादाद में आए, उनको किसी तरीके की कोई समस्या ना हो।
The BJP says it's a result of its tapasya, while the Congress and others merely indulged in lip service. The Congress, which once had questioned the very existence of Lord Ram, says Lord Ram is the last resort for the Saffron Party and that the construction is happening because of the Supreme Court verdict. Listen in to the opposition voices.
राम मंदिर का निर्माण, प्रभु राम मंदिर का निर्माण जो है, ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश से हो रहा है। आप लोग नहीं करा रहे हो, आप लोग कोई अध्यादेश लेकर के नहीं आए थे जो खामखा का क्रेडिट ले रहे हो। तपस्वी श्री राहुल गांधी जी हैं, आप लोग तो वोट के लिए प्रभु श्री राम का नाम का इस्तेमाल करते हो। आप लोग तो जहां वोट नहीं मिलता वहां संसद में कह देते हो कि राम सेतु का कोई अस्तित्व नहीं है। संभल के बोला कीजिए।
देखिए, अयोध्या में जो प्रभु राम का मंदिर बन रहा है, वो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के पैसे से नहीं बन रहा है, वो माननीय उच्चतम न्यायालय के दिए हुए आदेश के उपरांत जनता के पैसे से और राम भक्तों के दिए हुए चंदे से बन रहा है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने तो वहां चंदा चोरी का काम किया है, ये सबने देखा है किस तरह से वहां पर विश्व हिंदू परिषद ने अरबों रुपए की धांधली की, ये जग जाहिर है।
And that brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Congress tapasya only talk and tokenism? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining me on the debate tonight, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, senior spokesperson and member of parliament of the BJP, Shantanu Gupta, author, advocate Varis Pathan, national spokesperson of the AIMIM, Sanjay Jha, author, Ravi Srivastava, political analyst. I want to ask you, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, the Congress party says Ram Mandir, what's the big deal? This is because of the Supreme Court verdict, and in any case for the BJP, Ram is the last resort because work and the record of work of this government is not enough, and therefore Ram as always will be the last resort to get votes in 2024. How do you respond to that?
First of all, the party which is conducting the so-called Bharat Jodo Yatra are unable to understand
that was or is Ram the last resort for BJP? It was the first and foremost, first and last resort for Mahatma Gandhi. His political vision was Ram Rajya. His everyday's bhajan was Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram. His last submission was Hey Ram, which is written on his samadhi. But unfortunately, the modern day Gandhi has nothing to do with that. Second, it is for Lohia ji, who was a socialist. He said Ram, Krishna or Shiv ke bina Bharat ki kalpana nahi ho sakti. And in the constitution, you know, Bhagwan Ram's picture is on which part of the original constitution? On the page of fundamental rights. It means the fundamental rights are originated from the, you can say, the ideals of Bhagwan Ram, and it also should be under the Maryada of Maryada Purushottam Ram. But unfortunately, the Congress is actually forget about the present day context, Congress, Gandhiji and Constitution. I would like to ask, whether you go in the Far East, whether it is Indonesia, you will find the Ram, Laos, Vietnam, you will find Ram. South Korea is the only country whose first lady officially claims that they are the descendants of Ram. And come on the western side, you know, in Kurdistan area, which is between the Iraq and Turkey, there is a Sumay province, in which, in the caves, there is a picture in which it is carved, and a king is standing with a bow in its hand, exactly in the dhoti, like the Indian, and a monkey is sitting in front of it in this pose. What does this mean? And you know, in the Egypt, the Pharaoh dynasty, the first king of the Pharaoh dynasty is Ramses. Ramses means Ram issues से derive होकर वो बना. आप देखना चाहेंगे तो Ram is a vast, ब्रह्म अनामय अज भगवंता, व्यापक अजित अनादि अनंता, सर्वव्यापक थे. But unfortunately, these two parties, whose statement you have said, up till now they have not expressed regret. They are saying that it is by the Supreme Court of India. So what does the credit? This is the issue of credit, but they have openly said. Narasimha Rao, in the capacity of the Prime Minister of India, has said, हम बाबरी मस्जिद बनवाएंगे. We never said कि हम राम मंदिर बनवाएंगे. हमने कहा राम मंदिर बनवाएंगे संत और श्री राम जन्मभूमि समित. We will only try to pave the way. हम मार्ग प्रशस्त करेंगे. मुलायम सिंह यादव, as Chief Minister in 1993, said, हम बाबरी मस्जिद बनवाएंगे, तामील करेंगे. आज तक कोई स्टेटमेंट विड्रॉ किए क्या, रिग्रेट किए क्या? और मैं तो ये कह रहा हूं, हिंदू धर्म का नहीं, इस्लाम धर्म का मजाक उड़ा दिया उन्होंने. इस्लाम के हिसाब से नरसिम्हा राव और मुलायम सिंह दोनों काफिर हैं. काफिरों को मस्जिद तामील करने का हक ही नहीं है, इसके बावजूद सीना ठोक ठोक के कह रहे थे हम बाबरी मस्जिद बनाएंगे. सो दे हैव मेड द मॉकरी ऑफ द इंडियन सिविलाइजेशन, इंडियाज बिगेस्ट इंटरनेशनल सिंबल of culture and spirituality, and also made the mockery of Hinduism and Islam both.
Well, let me get in Mr. Sanjay Jha. Mr. Sanjay Jha, the question is not just about Ayodhya and the Ram Mandir. After all, in just ahead of the 2019 elections, it was the Congress ploy to somehow delay the hearings, do it after elections, and the BJP did not have the Ram Mandir to really back itself up. In the elections of 2019, they still won the elections with a larger mandate than in 2014. Number one. Number two, let me also give you a status check on all that they have done over the last 8 or 9 years that they've been in power. Whether it was pandemic, free ration to poor, whether it was vaccinating people, whether it was other schemes, toilets. 2014 there were 6.25 crore toilets. In 2022 there are 17.15 toilets. IITs have gone up from 16 to 23. IIMs have gone up from 13 to 20. Internet users have gone up from 25 to 65. Digital transaction, and that's the digital economy, so to speak, from 127 crore in 2013-14 to now 7,422 crore digital transactions. So this is not just about Ram Mandir being the last resort. Look at the fact check on all the achievements of this government and look at the opposition. What do they have to show? And is it going to be enough for rhetorical criticism to win you the elections in 2024?
Navika, very pertinent questions. Short response. on most of the achievements that you have mentioned of Mr. Modi's government. A lot of it I would love to talk when the budget day is out, but one data point is relevant to basically contradict or rather counterattack the proposition being made. One is that Indians across the board, and I say this with substantive data evidence, around 83 to 85% of Indians who live in the informal sector today are almost worse off in the last 4 years, which means that their real incomes or their income or wages are less than what it was pre-pandemic. So India has actually got worse off. More people are in poverty. We can discuss that later. But I think the question that you have raised today, and I heard my dear friend Sudhanshu speaking with his usual, visceral passion. But Sudhanshu ji, you make one mistake here. You see, India is a secular country, Sudhanshu ji. Although many of your appointed constitutional authorities today want to challenge the basic structure of the constitution. So, the kind of authoritarian threat you have become to India's destiny and future, which the founding fathers had once envisaged for our country, is now for every Indian to see. Whether they vote for you or not, that's not in my control. But the point, Navika, that we need to understand here, that today the BJP has weaponized hate and demonized minorities. And I say so with complete responsibility. We are a secular nation, Navika. And I can tell you the Ram Temple, one, as a Hindu myself, I'm very proud is happening. I can tell you not just as a Hindu, I'm telling you Muslims and Christians and Jains and Parsis and Sikhs. I think we all live together. We enjoy our visits to the mosque. We like going to churches. We like going to temples. It is only the BJP, which is nothing but a crude and a savage political party that will absolutely practice no principles or what I call as, politics of any prudence, which has actually divided religious communities by saying that this symbol of a religious temple belongs to me or belongs to us. And I think that is doing a grave injustice.
Savage political party, strong words those, Sanjay Jha. BJP is a savage political party. Sudhanshu Trivedi wants to respond to that.
I mean, they are brutal. They are brutal.
And the Congress, paragon of virtue?
No, I think the Congress has made errors, but I think the BJP intentionally runs this country on a policy of divide and rule.
Well, Sudhanshu Trivedi, respond.
Sanjay Jha is saying that BJP is brutal and the Congress is you can say an epitome of boon. That's why brutally सर तन से जुदा हुआ राजस्थान में कन्हैयालाल साहू का,
गलत था।
उसके बाद भी शांति नहीं हुई, रितेश सोनी का सर तन से जुदा हुआ, उसके बाद योगेश जाटव का हुआ। अरे सुनिए, यू आर सेइंग गलत था, उसके बाद पीएफआई को परमिशन दी गई, which is now officially a banned organization, which was seen by suspicion by your government in Kerala. But Rajasthan government has gave a political rally to PFI. And then you are saying brutal. ISIS flags in Kashmir were not brutal. After Jume की नमाज एक भीड़ निकलती है और इंस्पेक्टर अयूब को कत्ल कर देती है, it was not brutal. What happened to Hindus in Kashmir Valley, it was not brutal. It was a soothing song of secularism. That's why I am saying whatever has happened, and all over the country, look at the terrorist activities, Delhi, Bombay, Chennai, Guwahati, Hyderabad, Lucknow, Varanasi, Jaipur, Nagpur, Pune, कौन सी जगह थी जहां नहीं होते थे? But that was not brutal. That was a soothing song of secularism. Actually, the charade of secularism has created a lot of problem. And again, I would like to emphasize, in our original constitution, it was not there. And if you want to go in the debate of Constituent Assembly. The topic was initiated by Mr. M.K. Shah of Gujarat, and then Mr. D.K. Mishra, Jawaharlal Nehru, H.C. Mukherjee participated, and finally it is concluded that this word is not required here. But unfortunately, when you have created this word and this type of problems have created, and you are saying India is a secular country, so you are having the problem with Ram Temple. Sir, I would like to say, भगवान राम एकमात्र ऐसे भगवान हैं जिनको दूसरी रिलीजन को मानने वाले मानते हैं. हाँ नहीं, लेट मी कंप्लीट. इंडोनेशिया में रामायण का सारा पार्टिसिपेशन मुस्लिम करते हैं. द ओनली कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड हुज किंग होल्ड द टाइटल किंग रामा द 10th, इट इज थाईलैंड, नॉट ए हिंदू कंट्री. आई हैव ऑलरेडी कोटेड साउथ कोरिया. But unfortunately, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna movement started in Europe. They were not Hindus. But unfortunately, those who try to become more secular than the actual, they have created this problem. And that's why, finally, I would like to say, brutal to ye tha, ek sentence aur keh दूं. 1986 mein, at the time of Shah Bano, you said it is a religious matter. So we will not interfere even in iota. So you have trounced the Supreme Court judgment and provided the Sharia above the constitution of the India and above the judgment of the Supreme Court.
Exactly. The party that imposed emergency, the party that presented Shah Bano, the kind of justice that it did, is calling other political parties brutal and savage. Sanjay Jha, you need a reality check, honestly, on this one.
Can I tell you, Navika, one thing? He quotes Shah Banu because it's politically expedient for him. The Congress paid a massive electoral price for minority appeasement.
My friend, electoral price or not, is it correct to do that? Was it correct? Would it be correct to do that today, then, any time in history to do something like that? Was it right? Yes or no? What do you mean by political expediencies? Forget politics. Just talk about justice. Was that a correct position to take? Emergency. You're calling, call the BJP any number of names, you're free to do that. But to call that party savage and brutal and not talk about the Congress emergency and Shah Bano is being a little bit of an ostrich, Sanjay Jha. Burying your head in the sand.
Let me tell you, it calls for the ultimate brazen hypocrisy on the part of my friend Sudhanshuji on behalf of the BJP, because there is another Banu called Bilkis Banu, and the disgusting, reprehensible, repugnant behavior of
Fair enough, and that's an issue we picked up on several occasions, and the BJP must really repent that, but as must you for Shah Bano. But let's not get diverted on the debate. Let me get in Mr. Waris Pathan. Mr. Waris Pathan, in this country, the question is about, is the Ram Mandir the last resort? My question is, and I begin to bring it again away from religion and also talk about performance of development and delivery. And I want to ask you, you may criticize the government, it's your job in the opposition to do so. But that has to be based on some amount of facts. Look at the economy. Look at the digital transactions. Look at the fact that it took 67 years for this country to move from, $1 to $2 trillion economy, and it took 5 years for it to move from a 2 to a 3 trillion economy. That's one of the facts. The per capita income has grown. The number of startups that have gotten into, the top grade, unicorns, 107 from a number of 16. Look at, you talk about inflation. Talk about inflation. Around 5.72% has come down, had hardened a bit. But look at those people, parties like the Congress in Himachal Pradesh, which put in their manifesto will never raise the price of diesel, and as soon as they come to power, they hike the prices of diesel. My friend, it is on this that I want to ask you. Can the opposition just get away by pointing fingers at the BJP, or should you have enough data to support the argument that you make? Mr. Pathan.
Well, Navika, the BJP started their election campaign for 2024, and they have also, I think, issued their election manifesto wherein they say they will be contesting the elections on the basis of Ram Mandir, on the basis of Asta, on the basis of love jihad, and on Chaku and Churi. Why do I say that? Because now they have started this Ram Mandir. Second, their own minister in Karnataka has said that we will be fighting the election on the basis of love jihad, and we don't want to talk about development, about roads, about repairs, about schools, about hospitals. He has made it very, very clear. Thirdly, their own party member of parliament, Pragya Thakur, has said that keep your knife, churi, chaku taiyar rakho, दुश्मनों की गर्दन काटने में काम आएगा. So it is very, very clear that the BJP won't be fighting the 2024 elections on the basis of development, wherein the country's most important issue today, what we are facing, is unemployment. Modi has failed in fulfilling any of his promises which he made in the last 8 years. That is, I want to bring it to the notice of the nation. He said 15 lakh will be deposited in your account. Nobody got it. He promised 2 crore jobs will be given to unemployed youth. Till today, the youths are asking Mr. Modi, Prime Minister, when will we get job? He said petrol, diesel prices will reduce. But today, what we find is it is difficult to even run a home. Dollar and rupee, kindly compare that. What we have come to. The fourth important thing is about the international security. When will Modi speak about that? When he will show his red eye, or when he will show his 15-inch chest to China? They are afraid of taking even the name of China. So I want to ask a simple question to the BJP spokesperson, or whether the BJP will fight the election, or whether the country will run on the basis of Astha or the basis of constitution. Whether we will speak about development, unemployment, providing jobs, or whether we will just contest the election on Ram Mandir. What they have done? From 2 to 365, they came on the basis of that they will be making the Ram Mandir. What they did? They played politics on Ramji. My friends, my Hindu friends are calling me and saying, वारिस भाई ये लोग ने क्या किया? राम जी के नाम के ऊपर मंदिर बनाया, ट्रस्ट बनाया, और उसमें गपला कर दिया इन्होंने. They did corruption in that. So where are we going? So I would like just to speak 2 couplets on this BJP, that BJP वालों देते हैं भगवान को धोखा, इंसान को क्या छोड़ेंगे? कसमें वादे प्यार वफा सब वादे है, वादों का क्या? सुधांशु त्रिवेदी जी, ये देश, now they've understood, people of the country wants development, they want work, and where are we heading for?
Well,
is this your agenda?
Sudhanshu
with this agenda,
Trivedi ji is responding to you. He is responding to you.
Will you take the country to $5 trillion economy? How? Explain to us.
Okay.
Only by doing Hindu and Muslim will you run the country? You want to divide the country. They have spread hatred, so much hatred the BJP is spreading in the country, Navika.
My friend Varis Pathan,
they just want to play the Ram Mandir card. And
some comments of your own party men is also something that you should see, if you're talking about how divisive the BJP is. But Sudhanshu Trivedi is responding to you.
I will give the example of both the development and what Mr. Varis Pathan has said. You know, when Ram Temple movement got momentum, it was in 1990-92. What was the status of Indian economy at the time? Worst. 2 times the devaluation of rupee. Foreign exchange reserve less than 1 billion. The rate of inflation 14.5. Rate of unemployment immense. सब कुछ बैठ गया था. याद करिए 92 की बात कर रहा हूं. और उस समय द पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ हेटेड, गोलियां चलवाई जा रही थी. कोठारी ब्रदर्स के सर पे रख के गोली चलवाई जा रही थी. मंदिर मस्जिद की पॉलिटिक्स की जा रही थी. एंड द pledge was taken that not that we will rebuild the economy of India. The pledge was taken by Samajwadi Party and the Congress Party that we will rebuild the Babri Mosque. और जब हम पावर में आए 1998 to 2004, 100 बिलियन फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व हुआ अटल जी के टाइम में. 500 बिलियन हुआ मोदी जी के टाइम में. आईटी रिवॉल्यूशन अटल जी के समय में, डिजिटल रिवॉल्यूशन मोदी जी के समय में. पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनना शुरू हुआ. नेशनल हाईवे डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट बना अटल जी के समय में. और आज एटॉमिक पावर से लेकर डिजिटल पावर तक मोदी जी के समय में. अब सुन लीजिए मान्यवर, 5th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी हम बने. मगर अफसोस अभी पूछना चाहता हूं नाविका जी, दिस इज द पार्टी विच इज गिविंग sermon. The name of the party is Majlis-e Ittihadul Muslimin, means only concerned with the unity of the Muslim and with the fame कि 20 करोड़ 100 करोड़ पे भारी पड़ेंगे, 15 मिनट के लिए पुलिस हटा लो, और क्या गंदी गंदी बातें नहीं बोली गई देवी देवताओं के लिए. Now if they are trying to give these things, I think your Akbaruddin Owaisi said, you said, even Asaduddin Owaisi said कि जब मोदी चले जाएंगे पहाड़ पे और योगी चले जाएंगे मठ में, तो तुम्हें बचाने कौन आएगा? These are the words. No, these are not the words of hate. They are the soothing song of secularism. That's why I am saying
condemn those statements leading to genocide of Muslims. The statements were made, pick up sword, kill Muslims. There was a call for genocide given to Dharam Sansad. Why don't you condemn that, Sudhanshu Trivedi? Why don't you condemn that? Why don't you condemn your own member of parliament?
I am asking the statement of, I am not asking you the answer for any other organization. I am asking the statement of your party president, your MLA and your statement. वारिस पठान आपका स्टेटमेंट है 15 मिनट के लिए पुलिस हटा लो, उसके लिए माफी मांगी है, बोलिए, बाकी सब छोड़िए. कि योगी चले जाएंगे,
मोदी चले जाएंगे, पहाड़ पे गर्दन काटने में काम आएगा. Why don't you condemn that statement, Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi?
Nobody is condemning their own statements. Varis Pathanji, if you come on to statements, there are enough statements that have been made by your political party as well. So let's just let it lie. Nobody, even Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who says he's out to give love to everybody and do Bharat Jodo, has said statements like Modi to is desh mein petrol dal raha hai. Isn't that provocation? Well, everybody needs to calm down ahead of the elections, but the point here is, and let me come back to Mr. Ravi Srivastava. Mr. Ravi Srivastava, again I come back. If there are institutions that have been made, the IIMs and the AIMS, let me also tell you, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, the Pradhan Mantri, the Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Yojana, the insurance schemes that they have brought in. Each one of these, and Har Ghar Jal, the Jal Jeevan Mission, each one of these has shown certain achievements. My friend, if it was only about rhetoric, speeches that have been made, one would say, but there is work on the ground that you have to see, and see the criticism of the opposition, which seems to be without any data, without any solid foundation. And that is when I come back to the question, why do you call the Ram Mandir the last resort? After all, it is following the deadline that had been announced before. So what's the last resort about Ram Mandir?
See, Navika, first of all, the schemes which you are talking about are all big farce. There is no data available how many people have been benefited by the PM-wise Suraksha Yojana and all those Ujjwala Yojana, which has now closed down almost. We know the reality of that. Let's not talk about that. The fact is that BJP has got the clutch upon that Mandir issue only, because Ram is the only savior for them. Ram only polarizes. Ram only brings the vote in the election. So Ram is to be brought in everywhere. The moment election comes, these things start. As you could say, Karnataka elections are there. Now that Ajan, Hijab, Halal, that statement from Pragya Thakur, that so-called Sadhvi, and these kind of provocative statements are made to polarize people, because they have got only that ammunition in their armor, and that to divide people, they can go to any extent. Even the extent of there was a BJP spokesperson.
आपकी राम में आस्था नहीं है? आपकी राम में आस्था नहीं है?
She was insulting Prophet Muhammad.
आप राम नहीं कहते?
Live debate. Imagine what brutality, more brutality you expect from these people.
भैया केजरीवाल जी भी तो हनुमान चालीसा बोलते हैं. हनुमान अगर राम नहीं थे तो हनुमान कहाँ से आए?
Navika Kumar, I do not play that on my sleeves, my religion. My religion is inside the four walls of my house. The moment I come out of the door, I am a proud Indian, a secular Indian. I do not talk about Hindu, Muslim and Parsi and Sikh and Jews and all that. That is my principle, fundamental principle. I do not play the caste card, community card, religion card and all those nonsense which BJP does.
What about Mr. Kejriwal?
Mr. Kejriwal is not my Ram for that matter. He is a party convener. He has got his own choices. I also do Hanuman Chalisa in my house. I don't do it on the street. This is my prerogative.
I'm coming to you, Sudhanshu Trivedi, but Shantanu Gupta, would you want to respond to Mr. Ravi Srivastava?
I think I'm hearing a lot of skewed data from Sanjay Jhaji to Ravi ji. Sanjay Jhaji said poverty has increased in India. Which data is that? As per Global Multinational Poverty Index 2022, almost 415 million people have come out of poverty. Earlier this percent of 55%, now it's 16%. I don't know which data. I think I'll refer him correct data. Ravi ji is saying about Ram, and then let me quote about the history, engagement of Ram, how different parties engage with Ram. Kapil Sibal wanted the Ram Mandir, but it to be delayed as long as 2019 2019 election should not happen. Mulayam Singh ji, we all know how brutally he killed Kar Sevak. Narasimha Rao, Mulayam Singh both wanted to make Babri Masjid. BSP wanted a toilet structure there. Aam Aadmi Party wanted a hospital there. Kejriwal ji की नानी को तो पसंद नहीं था कि उस जमीन पर राम मंदिर बने. And in the BJP side, BJP is with the issue from 1989 Palampur Adivation. Or be it in 2003, Atalji got the radar exploration done. Or Yogi Adityanath government would got the 10,000 Farsi, Arabic, Sanskrit document translated for Supreme Court to give a judgment on them. Something in the Janta's court, you guys are standing. Are you standing with Ram or you're not standing with Ram? Keep singing your secular song or whatever song, but just today in Navika shows, all of you tell, are you standing with Ram or not? And Sanjay Jaji, let me tell you, from next, Sanjay Jaji, last, just give me 10 more seconds. Just give me 10 more seconds.
Contractor of Ram.
Just give me 10 more seconds. Navika, can you please? Navika, can you please start the show?
The contractor of Ram होने की जरूरत नहीं है ना भाई.
Ravi ji.
Okay, Shantanu Gupta has a question for Sanjay Jha. Allow him to ask. Allow him to ask Ravi Srivastava ji. Shantanu.
Ravi ji. Next year, Ravi ji and Sanjay Jha ji, when you will land in the international airport of Ayodhya, you know what will Captain tell? Captain will tell, now we are landing at Maryada Purushottam Shriram Airport. I don't know what will you do then.
Please don't give me
You say, oh, naturally how can the airport can happen? So a lot of things are coming. Lot of things coming out of it. Just show your Shraddha to Shriram. Just show your Shraddha to Shriram with crores of people, crores of Hindus in this land and across the globe. Ram is a hero. Your hero can be Babar. Your hero can be Aurangzeb. Your hero can be Khilji and Temurlang. But the hero of Hindus
Sanjay Jha. Why is there an allergy to Ram? The Ram temple is on course. The Supreme Court gave the verdict, after which the construction had to start. Why is there this allergy? Ke bhai yehi hai last resort. I've talked about other schemes. Talk about data. You know, it's all there. Ram Mandir is not the only thing the government has done. There are other things that have happened.
Sure. Navika, quick response. Firstly, I don't think Shantanu is prepared for this debate. If he read the pandemic report, you would have known that 230 million people have been pushed below the poverty line after the COVID hit India. And that number hasn't changed thereafter. Anyway, your question is very relevant, Navika. Let me answer you. The BJP...
Pandemic time is a skewed data. If you compare pandemic time and India time, you yourself are picking exceptional data point.
Come little later. I'm just answering Navika's question. The truth is that the BJP and the
just
RSS
pointing out your
are
skewed
trying
data
to
picking.
Appropriate Hinduism. Hinduism, by the way, Shantanu ji and Mr. Sudhanshu ji, is a phenomenally great religion. It teaches you compassion, tolerance, love, and fraternity.
Okay,
it doesn't teach
you to
hate.
say that. Good we forced you to say that.
To hurt other people. It doesn't teach you to insult others.
I'm happy we forced you to say that.
Shantanu, don't interrupt. You're looking a little rattled. But I will tell you, एक धक्का और दो, बाबरी मस्जिद तोड़ दो.
No, I'm not.
You know, Bhagwan Ram would have never approved of it.
Enjoying Delhi's winter.
Bhagwan Ram would never approve of it. And let me all tell you, देश के गद्दारों को dash dash गोली मारो dash dash को. This is the language of the party in power.
What treatment you want with देश के गद्दार? What treatment do you suggest with देश के गद्दार? Sanjay, just tell me now, what treatment do you suggest with
Sudhanshu Trivedi is responding to you. Sudhanshu Trivedi ji, last word to you.
Who has given
there is a law for that.
the right to speak on behalf of my religion? Who has made you the custodian of my religion? Who has appointed you as the guardian of my religion? Who?
Sudhanshu ji.
Now I will respond. Actually, Sanjay Jha, आप जानते हैं who has made? अभी Ravi Srivastava ji, what he said? Ram polarizes, but sar tan se juda normalizes. Saffron flag polarizes, ISIS flag normalizes. This type of thing has given the strength and the clarity of thought to the people of India. That's why the situation is there. Once Mirabai was asked by Tulsidas that my family and my government, means they were the king, they were saying not to pray for your God, what should I do? Tulsidas replied, जाके प्रिय न राम वैदेही तजिए ताही कोटि बैरी सम यद्यपि परम स्नेही If nobody whosoever not likes Ram and Vaidehi, then denounce him like an enemy, howsoever dear it is, and so the thing happened to you. And if you are saying, sir, that Hinduism is a great religion, first I would like to say Hinduism is the only dharma, it's not religion, all else are religion. If at all you consider it as a religion, it is the only religion in the world which has no concept of conversion. That's why India is the only country which never went for invasion. But unfortunately, those who went for conversion and invasion and destroyed the entire human history has been equated inequality with Hinduism, whose books has inspired the scientists like Oppenheimer, Werner Heisenberg, Schrödinger, Niels Bohr. But unfortunately, you equated with those. I am not denouncing anybody, but those theologies which has said the earth is flat and earth is stationary. इसलिए मैं कहना चाहता हूं ये इक्वालिटी के नाम पे जो आपने किया है, इतना इनजस्टिस किया, उसकी वजह से ये सिचुएशन आई. And lastly, I would like to say again, after we came into power, the so-called Hindutva party, always the rate of inflation remain less than rate of growth. The rate of growth always remain high. But when the so-called Hindu growth rate 2% आते हैं, one more thing, जैसे जैसे टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांस हुई है, हिंदू धर्म की श्रेष्ठता बढ़ी है. ये बताइए, सरस्वती नदी कब खोजी गई? नासा की सैटेलाइट पिक्चर से. राम सेतु कब दिखा? नासा की सैटेलाइट पिक्चर. राम मंदिर, when radar mapping came, you have got a stay from the court कि खुदाई नहीं होगी क्योंकि डर था नीचे कुछ निकल आएगा. But unfortunately for you, when the radar mapping technology came, and even in today, काशी विश्वनाथ कोर्ट में है ना कि radar mapping नहीं होनी चाहिए. This shows that who is standing on the side of truth and who is standing on the side of deceit.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, something that is a matter of astha and something that should have been celebrated has become a bone of contention. But is it going to be a disqualification for the Modi-led BJP? Or is it going to be a feather in his cap? Because is it only the Ram Mandir that Modi is banking upon? Or does it have a record that it will have to show the people, which will determine who's going to be the winner in 2024? That's the question. And that's what the opposition will have to really garner their research on, because it will have to be both achievements and the Ram Mandir, not one or the other. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1. On the other side, ladies and gentlemen, a 70-year-old woman was urinated upon, humiliated and traumatized on an Air India flight last year, allegedly. Today, she has been shamed by the very same person who subjected her to this inhuman act. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Shankar Mishra today told the court that the woman urinated on herself because of her age. He went on to say that woman has a problem with incontinence because she is a classical dancer and that 80% of classical dancers have this problem. The victim had responded to the claims made by the accused as scurrilous and defamatory. The victim slammed Shankar Mishra for adopting a campaign of spreading misinformation and falsities with the intent of harassing her. Listen in to what the lawyer of the complainant had to say.
Now, in light of the particular facts that we learned after we read about the complainant, we came to know that she's a Bharatnatyam dancer. Now, we also learned about urinary incontinence. Now, you please read up the medical literature on this subject. There is a great probability of it happening. Nobody is saying with 100% certainty that she has done it. However, if the police is investigating, see, the police and the prosecutor have a very important duty under the Indian law. They are supposed to do their duty. But if you go on with that preconceived mind that it is Mr. Shankar Mishra who has done it, this part of the investigation will not be done.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me on the debate, Pratibha Prahlad, renowned artist and culture specialist, Dilip Cherian, founder, Perfect Relations, Ashish Dikshit, lawyer, Namit Saxena, advocate, and we'll also take your calls, viewers. Pratibha Prahlad, first to you. First, the humiliation of the incident, and now The fact that she urinated on herself, she has to live with that as well, because that's the argument in court. My question is, of course, the court will take a call on who's right. We are nobody to judge that. The question here is, look at the manner in which this issue has now made it so difficult for justice to be done. The woman, the entire incident not reported, the man not detained, alcohol test not done. It's only one word against the other. Do you think this is how justice will be delivered to this senior citizen?
Navika, thank you for having me. You forgot to mention that I'm a classical dancer, a classical Bharatanatyam dancer.
Absolutely, and 80% of them have a problem of incontinence.
It's funny.
That's what has been stated.
Can you imagine someone saying something so absurd, I mean, totally absurd. But before, I say that, I remember what Mark Twain once said. He said, if you remember the truth, you don't have to remember anything else. Which basically means that you don't have to remember mithya if you know what satya is. Satya is in truth. And manipulate truth and come to ridiculous, crazy, absurd kind of, observations as this lawyer seems to be doing. We all know that lawyers are supposed to defend, these people who are charged, but they're supposed to do it intelligently. This particular lawyer seems to be totally, he seems to have lost it, just as this crazy man, Shankar Mishra, and his act, which was repulsive, disgusting, and shocked the civic consciousness of the entire country. He brought shame to our country, actually, by his act. Instead of the most honorable thing for him to do right now is to apologize and say he was drunk and that, he's sorry. But instead of doing that, his advocate goes on to say that the lady urinated upon herself, she was a Bharatanatyam dancer to boot, and 80% of Bharatanatyam dancers have this problem. I mean, what kind of a craziness is this? Is he now trying to defame all Bharatanatyam dancers of this country? The dancers are physically fit. Dancers are mentally fit. And dancers have a discipline that keeps them spiritually fit. This man doesn't have physical fitness. He doesn't have mental fitness.
Ashish Dikshit, is this a desperate move, Ashish Dikshit? And is this what defense lawyers do?
Good evening, Navika, and to all of the panelists. See, Navika, now this statement has been made before the Sessions Court, based on the instructions from the accused who is in the present case, and I am sure the statement would be tested. It is the purpose of giving his side of story is that the investigation can be done properly and the real truth can come out. You, me, and madam, any other on the panelists cannot say whether this is right or not. It can be repulsive. It can feel that it is totally wrong. But sometimes it happens that during investigation, repulsive things turn out to be true. So it's little too premature to say that whatever he is saying is wrong and whatever that ma'am is saying is right. So we have to just wait for the investigation to be completed as soon as possible, and let's hope for this thing that the right thing comes out. And as I have said, that accused has all the right to make his defense. Whether it comes out as plausible, not plausible, that is for the court to decide. I can only say that I think he has been taken into custody, offences have been added, and in due course of time we will get to know whether this is the allegations are true or not.
Well, Dilip Cherian, many a times people say that, oh, there shouldn't be a media trial. But this particular case has shaken the conscience of the entire country. Dilip Cherian, in this case, we know there have been several slips. And we also know there is a lot in public domain. There is a lot that is not in public domain. What is there in public domain are the WhatsApp chats, the messages that have been exchanged. And in the message, the accused has offered to pay money, has discussed when that money could reach her, and the family of this senior citizen has tried to say that they don't want to accept the money. I want to ask you, would somebody want to pay money if they hadn't done anything wrong? And therefore, does it fly in the face of the argument given today that the lady herself has urinated and is putting the blame on him? The facts don't add up.
Absolutely not, Navika. I think that there is no doubt in anybody's mind that the incident as reported is something that has happened. Of course, for political and proprietoriness to be maintained, we will say alleged perpetrator, etc. But I think that what has already been reconstructed is pretty clear. The difficulty, though, is that at this point of time, you will not be able to take a sample from the aircraft because it's been more than a month. So I think that that is probably what the defense lawyer is gambling on. And I think that it's preposterous that this kind of a plea should be entered. And I think that any client who's briefing his lawyer or any lawyer who is trying to portray this is actually, as Pratibha said, playing with the truth in a dangerous way.
Very, very rightly said. We have callers calling in. Sharta Murthy, Mrs. Sharta Murthy from Mumbai, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai from Delhi, Surjan Mehta calling in from Noida. Mrs. Shanta Murthy, do you think this is a desperate attempt by the accused? Yes, ma'am, go on.
I'm Shanta Murthy from
Ma'am, you'll have to switch off your television, otherwise we can't hear you. Please switch off your television and I'll come back to you. Sanjeev Bagai, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, what do you think? Is this a made up excuse because he's pushed to a corner?
Good evening, Navika. Just purely on medical facts, the gentleman who has been acting as flora fountain and fiddling all over the place in an aircraft is incontinent himself. The medical facts are that in fact dancers are not 80% prevalence and incidence of urinary incontinence. In fact, medically speaking, dancing and pelvic floor exercises is taught to people who are incontinent. I have been in practice for the last 35 years purely in nephrology, and the statements which this gentleman is making through his lawyers can be challenged in any court of law. Point number two is the overall incidence of incontinence, which is of 4 different types, varies from 16.7% going up to 35% and up to 45% in elderly. That means to say every elderly is incontinent and will be urinating on herself or himself. Completely absurd, and he should have had better sense not to walk that path because it will be torn apart in the court of law.
Very well said, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, and thank you very much for joining me on the Newshour tonight and actually giving a doctor's version. And I can see Pratibha Prahlad is extremely relieved that some amount of the defamation of all Bharatnatyam dancers has been put to rest. Mrs. Shanta Murthy, coming back to you, Mrs. Shanta Murthy, what do you think? Desperate attempt?
Absolutely desperate, shameless. What a liar the lawyer is. And above all, the man who urinated was begging for her mercy to not to complain. He pays her money and then comes back with this utter nonsense. He's lying through his teeth, the lawyer, and so is this man. This is evil. The law of action and reaction will come back to the man who urinated and to his lawyer. They will both pay for it through the law of action and reaction.
Well said, Mrs. Shanta Murthy. Thank you very much for joining us. Surjan Mehta from Noida. Where do you stand? You believe this story?
Ma'am, I would like to tell you, and you need to run after these 3 idiots of our country. Who are the 3 idiots? Just tell me this thing. Forget about these people sitting on the panel. We are not interested, okay? We want you to run after that.
I don't know, Mr. Surjan Mehta. I will not allow you to insult my panelists sitting here. And I don't know, I would not like to use unparliamentary language on the Newshour. Thank you for joining us all the same. Maybe with better language, we can have you back on the show in future. Mr. Prabhakar, also joining us on the Newshour. Mr. Prabhakar, where do you stand? Do you believe the argument given in court by the lawyer of the accused?
Absolutely not, madam. By hook or crook, the lawyer wants to get him out of the case. What he is forgetting is that First he has urinated, then they said that he has apologized, then there is a compromise or arrangement. If he has not done that, what for the arrangement, what is for the compromise, what for he has sent the money to her? If he is a passenger, there are two.
Well said, Mr. Prabhakar. Well said, Mr. Prabhakar, and I'll take that question to Namit Saxena, advocate. If there was nothing that had happened, then why was there the crew creating a conversation between the two sides? Why were there messages? Why were there payments? Why, Mr. Namit Saxena?
See, all this is a matter of investigation right now. Sending money to to the complainant by an alleged accused is not an admission of guilt. There's a matter of investigation that that this money was sent because of this, that needs to be investigated. See, there are only two defenses in criminal law. One, the crime never happened. Second, the crime may or may not have happened. I did not do it. In this case, the accused has consciously or unconsciously chosen to take the first defense, that the crime never happened. The woman perhaps urinated on herself. I did not urinate at all. So there is no offense which has been committed, is his defense. Now it is for him to supplant his submissions with medical evidence that that of this 80% dancers can or whatever defense he is creating. It is up to him to prove it before a court of law.
Well, all I can say to my viewers and to my panelists tonight is extremely difficult for women to come out, make a complaint, and then to go through all of this in a court of law. I wish things had turned out differently. I wish the airline had done some kind of a test, had apprehended this gentleman. Maybe there would have been more on hands as far as evidence is concerned. At the moment, as a woman, all I feel is total disgust at the humiliation of this senior citizen. Sometimes for women to fight cases of this nature becomes difficult because of the nature of comments, because of the nature of the defense, and because of the nature, the manner in which things are dragged through courts of law. Actually, a big discouraging factor for women. And my heart goes out to this senior citizen. I'm sure yours does too. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night, be safe.
इन केस आप मिलेनियन वाली जनरेशन से हैं तो आपने शायद वो गाना सुना होगा, देखा जो तुझे यार दिल में बजी गिटार। सो कुछ ऐसे अगर आप मूड में हैं तो यहाँ पे ये गिटार की स्ट्रिंग्स टाइप दी गई हैं, एग्जैक्टली स्ट्रिंग्स नहीं है, बट ऐसे कुछ मूड में है तो आप इनका इस्तेमाल उस समय जरूर कर सकते हैं। अब आप समझ गए होंगे कि गाड़ी कौन सी है। हाल ही में इसका लॉन्च हुआ था, ये है BYD की Atto 3 और क्या परफॉर्मेंस, क्या रेंज, क्या डिजाइन, क्या फीचर्स BYD अपने इस इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल में दे रहा है, उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूं इस वीडियो में। और वीडियो के अंत में हमेशा की तरह बात करेंगे 3 धांसू और 3 नॉट सो धांसू एलिमेंट्स मुझे क्या लगे इस BYD Atto 3 के बारे में। तो चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं। तो शुरुआत कर लेते हैं इस Atto 3 के डिजाइन वाले एस्पेक्ट से। तो फ्रंट में BYD कहना है ये गाड़ी का डिजाइन जो है ओवरऑल ड्रैगन इंस्पायर्ड है, चाइनीज ब्रांड है, तो कुछ वैसा ही एसेंस BYD कह रही है हमने इस गाड़ी के डिजाइन और स्टाइलिंग में देने की कोशिश करी है। हालांकि ड्रैगन इंस्पायर्ड तो मुझे फ्रंट ज्यादा नहीं लग रहा है, बट फिर भी यहाँ पे सेंटर में बड़ा सा BYD का लोगो है, क्रोम का एलिमेंट दिया गया है थ्रू आउट जो जाता है इसके फ्रंट हेडलाइट के ऊपर से सेंटर तक। एंड हेडलाइट जो है क्रिस्टल LED कॉम्बिनेशन लाइट्स यहाँ पर इसमें देखने को मिल रही है। एंड DRL देख रहे हैं, देखने में खूबसूरत ही काफी लग रहा है। इसका फ्रंट जो लाइट का सेक्शन है काफी स्लीक कॉम्पैक्ट इसका हेडलाइट का डिजाइन लग रहा है। एंड जो टर्न इंडिकेटर्स हैं वो भी इसके DRL में ही इंटीग्रेटेड हैं। तो यहाँ पे जब इसको टर्न इंडिकेटर ऑन होंगे तो ये DRL टर्न इंडिकेटर का काम भी करेगा। इसके अलावा इलेक्ट्रिक गाड़ी है तो फ्रंट में कुछ यहाँ पे इवेंट वगैरह देखने को नहीं मिलेगा, ऑब्वियस है। एंड इसमें जो है ADAS लेवल 2 के फीचर्स देख सकते हैं आप, यहाँ सेंसर्स वगैरह, रेडार वगैरह यहाँ पे इसमें देखने को मिल रहा है। एंड 360 डिग्री कैमरा यहाँ पर इस BYD की Atto 3 में इधर दिया गया है। साइड प्रोफाइल पे आए तो यहाँ पर जो टायर्स इसमें दिए गए हैं वो हैं 18 इंच के 215 सेक्शन के टायर्स दिए गए हैं। एंड यहाँ पे जो डिज़ाइन है एलॉयस का, ये भी थोड़ा स्पोर्टी स्टाइलिश देखने में जरूर लग रहा है। BYD का हब यहाँ पे सेंटर में दिया गया है व्हील में। एंड ओवरऑल जो यहाँ पे
You're watching the News Hour at 9.
Centre informs top court now there is no consensus between the centre and states for giving minority status to Hindus in states and union territories where they are not majority. Days after 7 Kashmiri Hindus were identified and eliminated by terrorists in Rajouri, Amit Shah holds a high-level meeting to review the security situation in Jammu. Stalin ups the ante against Governor R.N. Ravi, writes letter to President Murmu, says Governor maintaining an ideological and political conflict with the state government. Row over Tamil Nadu name change proposal continues. DMK-LI VCK stages protest outside Raj Bhavan, demands Governor's resignation. Lingayat Sia along with his supporters protest in front of CM Basavaraj Bommai's residence over lack of clarity as deadline for 2A reservation expires today.
The smartphone category in India is anyway popular, right? उसमें भी जो 20 से 25 हजार वाले स्मार्टफोन्स हैं वो और भी ज्यादा पॉपुलर हैं। शायद इसीलिए इन्फिनिक्स ने आज अपना 020 स्मार्टफोन लॉन्च कर दिया है। I have the smartphone with me right here और इसको आज करेंगे अनबॉक्स। Hi, you're watching At a Time. This is me, Pavni Jain, and it's time for me to unbox this device और देखते हैं फोन में आपको क्या-क्या contents दिखाई देंगे। Let's begin. अनबॉक्स हो चुका है। जैसे कि आपने देखा यहाँ पर स्टिकर उतारते हुए मैंने ऐसे थोड़ा सा गंध मचा दी। यहाँ पे स्टिकर ऑलरेडी दिखाई दे रहा है, बट इसको क्लीन करेंगे बाद में। अभी बात करेंगे स्मार्टफोन के बारे में। थोड़ा सा मुझे वेट इसका ज्यादा लग रहा है, वो यूज करने के बाद पता चलेगा कि ये कितना कंफर्टेबल है। अदर देन दैट यू गेट 3 कैमराज एट द बैक। इसको आपको मिलेगा स्क्वायरिश कैमरा मॉड्यूल के अंदर। द मेन कैमरा इज 108 मेगापिक्सल और यही इसका यूएसपी है। सिर्फ बैक कैमरास की बात नहीं है बॉस, आपको फ्रंट कैमरा भी बहुत ही धांसू दिखाई दे रहा है। एटलीस्ट ऑन द स्पेक शीट यूज करने पे पता चलेगा कि कितना अच्छा है या नहीं अच्छा है। फ्रंट कैमरा जो इसका है वो आपको मिलता है 60 मेगापिक्सल का फ्रंट शूटर। आपको इसमें दिखाई देगा फुल HD प्लस एमोलेड पैनल। बेजल्स थोड़े से मुझे मोटे दिखाई दे रहे हैं, टॉप और बॉटम वाला स्पेशली। साइड बेजल्स आर स्टिल स्लिम। व्हाट कीप्स दिस स्मार्टफोन अलाइव इज Helio G99 चिपसेट। बैटरी की बात करें तो इसमें आपको मिलता है 45 वॉट का फास्ट चार्जिंग सिस्टम, विच इज प्रिटी गुड। एट द बॉटम यू ऑल्सो गेट अ 3.5 mm हेडफोन जैक एंड दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, क्योंकि आजकल के फोन में ये आपको बिल्कुल दिखाई नहीं देता है। सो यू डू नॉट हैव टू जस्ट रिलाई ऑन योर वायरलेस ईयरबड्स। आप यहाँ पर अपने वायर्ड हेडफोन्स का भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। स्पीकर के साथ आपको मिलता है Type-C पोर्ट, ऊपर की तरफ माइक्रोफोन है, राइट साइड पे आपको मिलता है वॉल्यूम रॉकर और साथ में पावर बटन। लेफ्ट साइड इज प्रीटी क्लीन, लेकिन यहाँ पे आपको मिलता है सिम ट्रे और सिम इंजेक्टर टूल बॉक्स में आपको मिलता है, वो मैं दिखा चुकी हूँ। यहीं पर सिम ट्रे की बात करते करते मेरी नजर गई है फ्रेम पर, विच इज प्रीटी ग्लॉसी। मेटल तो नहीं है लेकिन ऐसा फील जरूर दे रहा है दैट इट्स मेटल। बाकी ये था मेरा ओवरऑल लुक एट द स्मार्टफोन। अगर आप जानना चाहते हैं कि क्या
Good evening and welcome to the News Hour at 10 agenda. Now, there seems to be no end to moral depravity when it comes to Pakistan. First, its diplomats allegedly indulge in highly deplorable behavior, seeking sexual favors in exchange for doing their job of getting a visa. And also, the system has now come out looking for ways to deflect the blame. After Times now highlighted testimonies and evidence that clearly point at the complicity of Pakistan officials, their Ministry of Foreign Affairs, instead of showing contrition or initiating action, asserted that there is zero tolerance for misbehavior and a robust mechanism for grievance redressal in place. Expressing surprise instead at the timing and manner in which the issue had been raised, the underlying insinuation being that there was a conspiracy behind the 8-month delay in the issue coming out in the public domain. But each of these claims have now been blown to smithereens. Speaking to Times Now, the victim has said that not once or twice, but 4 times she had flagged her grievance. Within 10 days of the Pakistan High Commission officials sending outrageous messages, the first one being on the very same portal that is now being cited as a robust mechanism in the Pak Embassy. She also wrote to the Pakistan Foreign Minister and Foreign Secretary. For 8 long months, not only was nothing done, she was also allegedly threatened to drop the case.
Sir, I'm very sad to see that statement because I reported this incident in less than 48 hours of it happening. They messaged me on April 20th, 21st and 22nd. The last message was at 11:45 in the night. And April 24th itself, 5 p.m., I uploaded this complaint on their grievance portal of the High Commission itself. Please ask Madam, respectable Madam, to produce the robust system. Either her definition is different or I need to go back to school to understand what a robust system is. There's absolutely no confirmation email that I got after uploading the complaint. There's no number that is generated. There's no way to track the complaint. And I did it at 5 p.m. and on that very day, on April 24th, and this is less than 48 hours. They sat on this complaint for 10 months. And today they're questioning, and she's saying, I'm surprised with the timing. She's not shocked with the revelation, but she's surprised just with the timing. I mean, a person of such high stature at such high offices are giving such kind of statements for the world to see that she's only surprised with the timing. I'm being a little sarcastic, but I'm shocked that she's not shocked with my revelation. And the first person who I told that I'm going to complain is Mr. Tahir Abbas himself. You played that message yesterday. When he read that message, I have a double blue tick on the WhatsApp chat. When he read that message, did he inform his superiors that there's a lady who has messaged me like that and she's going to complain?
And it is perhaps this patronage from the state that has emboldened the accused. Times Now has managed to track down Mir Tahir Abbas, one of the officials put in the dock by the victim. Hear how he hides behind the statement issued by the Pakistan Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Good morning, sir. I'm Priyank Tripathi calling from Times Now TV channel. Hello? So yes, please. So there have been allegations against you that you allegedly molested and demanded sexual favors from one of the Indians. So you must have seen this interview on our channel. So what do you have to say about that, sir?
No, I don't want to comment. I think our official response has been given by the embassy and it will be given by the MOPA.
But sir, you have been put in on the... Sir, this woman has...
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And for more of this, let's go right across to our guest. Joining us with us is Major General G.D. Bakshi, a defense analyst. Also with us is Tariq Fatah, author. Faraz Saeed is a political analyst. Joining us on the broadcast also is Kamar Chima. Faraz Saeed, let me start with you, sir. We've been covering this story for some time now. And, you know, a lot that's happened since the last 24 hours. Not only has there been a statement that has been released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the allegation is that there is a robust system in place to ensure justice delivery. The victim says that she sent an email to the ministry, she filed a complaint on the website, she even on Twitter messaged the minister in concern, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto. But all of these complaints have gone in vain. So what kind of a robust system is this, where 3 complaints are completely ignored, sir?
You see, there's a process. There's a process because again, we also have to, there's a process of diagnosis. Is the complaint legit? And of course, there's going to be an inter-departmental inquiry, which has already begun, by the way. My sources claim that the inter-departmental inquiry is already on the way, and the person accused is being questioned. And of course, there are international laws, there are domestic laws under which this person, if the accusations are right, will be tried and tested, because Pakistan and as human beings, we have zero tolerance to such kind of wild incidents or any kind of things.
But sir, this departmental inquiry is 8 months too late. If there was a robust system, this inquiry should have happened organically 8 months ago. Why does it take media outcry and for people to talk about it for the ministry to react? Do you actually want a formal complaint from the government to actually take up such an issue? Do individuals not have a right to formally complain to governments in Pakistan?
They do. But there are suspicions that the incident, the incident happened a month ago. And the way it is being reported or highlighted...
The incident happened almost a year ago, sir. It happened 10 months ago and it was immediately reported in 48 hours. Please read the complaint letter. It's out there in the public domain.
Yeah. The problem is the way it is being highlighted or the way it is being raised. We have our serious doubts. If the Foreign Office has said that there is an inter-departmental inquiry, there is an inter-departmental inquiry, and the accused will be brought to justice if there is any truth to these accusations.
Tariq Fatah, let me bring you in over here because, this is a bit confusing. If there is a robust system of justice delivery, where is the justice? If there is an interdepartmental inquiry, it's happening too late. It can't be both ways. The arguments coming in from Pakistan appear to be self-contradictory at this stage.
Well, within Pakistan, this would not be considered much of an issue. To be very honest, we have a track record of Pakistan's leaders having right at the top. I remember General Yahya Khan and his General Rani and entourage of female actresses who would accompany him while the country was approaching the breakup. People shouldn't forget that. The former Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan, has had some fascinating audio tapes leaked about his own sexual adventures and how proud he is of what he has done. So this is a natural byproduct of a society where there are two completely different societies that exist. One is the elite Western educated or supposedly Western attitudes of people, and the others are a whole lot of frustrated, sexually deprived men who will prey on any woman they see. Because as you grow up, the first time you ever meet or sit with a female is at the university level. Co-education doesn't exist in much of Pakistan, and young men or a woman or a young woman who's dating someone is impossible for it to happen over there. So men think it is their right to, and they have religious sanction as well, in which they will invoke the Quran or the Sharia as to what to do with non-Muslim women. This brings another angle to it.
Okay.
But, we have simply been told that this is part of our...
Even if that is the case, the point is that where is the justice in this entire matter? Do women not have equal rights? And Mr. Cheema, let me bring you in on this, because here you have a situation where there are WhatsApp conversations, there are audio conversations that have allegedly taken place, there are complaint letters from last year, yet no action taken on ground. And it's very easy to brush this aside, saying that timing is questionable, we doubt why it is coming out now. The point is, it is about a victim. It is about the rights of a person who have been violated. And surely it is not, it cannot be your argument either, that even Pakistani women, any part of the world, when they go to apply for a visa, that this kind of behavior happens with them. Or if they apply even in embassies within Pakistan. Surely this is not acceptable, sir.
Well, to be frank enough, what I would suggest to the Indian authorities is looking at the relations between Pakistan and India. I think they should be the Foreign Office, the Ministry of External Affairs. They should come up directly and raise this issue with Pakistan if there is a fact on that. So rather going for a media trial, raising a public opinion as if
Mr.
India
Chima, let me make one thing very clear. The government of India hasn't even reacted.
So
the government of India is a completely different story altogether, which I'll be discussing on the show. But my point is, why should a government have to intervene? Why can't the government of Pakistan suo motu take up the case? Because some things are beyond the relations between India and Pakistan. It is about rights of a female which have been completely wronged. Surely this kind of behavior is not acceptable.
The question is that Pakistani High Commission in New Delhi since last 75 years almost. So since then, the people in India who have been going there, they are getting visas, they are getting all the rights. So overnight, when Pakistan-India relations, although they have never been good, so I think you are going for all the media trial of all this story. You don't want a justice for the lady. The lady,
how can you say that, Mr. Chima? Very sorry to hear that from you.
Anti-Pakistan sentiments.
Very sorry to hear that from you. There is misbehavior. There are WhatsApp chats, there are email complaints, and you are saying that this is a media trial without even examining the facts.
What you want is a media
trial. Are you saying the WhatsApp chats are fake?
You want ratings.
Are you saying the lady who was, drummed up the courage after 8 months to speak out to the media is lying?
That's the best thing.
Are you saying the lady is lying?
Obviously she is lying in my
understanding. How do you say she is lying? Prove that she is lying.
I think at the end, who is to establish the
Prove
reality?
that she is lying, sir. Do you have anything to prove conclusively that she is lying?
I am not.
Not even the ministry, nor the individual. Even the accused is refusing to speak on camera. If this was fake, Mr. Chima, even Mr. Tahir, who we spoke to this morning over the phone, would at least come out and say that is fake. Even the cat has his tongue. He doesn't want to comment on this, which shows the level of cover-up happening. The scale of cover-up happening is mind-boggling, and it is shocking that you are victim shaming here on national television today. I bow my head in shame, because this is certainly something that I don't expect from an educated individual. So let me take this across to Major General G.D. Bakshi, because Major General G.D. Bakshi, this is just mind-boggling. The amount of information that is in the public domain. We have spoken to the victim, who has drummed up the courage to speak out once yesterday. She has come out and completely rubbished and ridiculed the claims of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that there's a robust system to deal with this, or a robust grievance mechanism. She says there's none. I've complained 3 times on 3 fora. Nothing happened. Zero. Zilch. Nada. And here you have a panelist who's out victim shaming. It doesn't get more bizarre than this, General G.D. Bakshi.
Because I know you are using that so-called...
Mr. Chima, please have some sense when you talk.
Tariq, Chima. All right. Now can I have my 2 pennies worth? Look, as I said yesterday, the Pakistan embassy in New Delhi is not an embassy. It is a bridgehead for the export, the spread of terror, for facilitating terror operations in India. It acts as a bridgehead, and the simple fact is it is full of spooks. There are hardly any, career credentialed diplomats there. It is full of the ISI and every known Pakistani agencies out to recruit terrorists, out to recruit informants, and all sorts of trying to supply weapons, trying to find who can act as a route for Hawala. I mean, this is the limit. Generally, embassies are here to project a good image of their home country. You call this projection of a good image? This was a very sloppy, extremely sloppy honey trap attempt, or what the Pakistani sleuths involved thought was a honey trap, a license for them to do smart talk or whatever, and foist themselves on most unwilling ladies who are just not into their league. People are decent here. She had applied for a visa. You take advantage of that to try and, make all sorts of obscene proposals and this and that. The intention was quite simple. They thought that they are a bit of very handsome men out to recruit Indian women, honey trap Indian women, and seeing her, religious thing, they thought she's from a minority community and therefore she can be turned around and she can be, her emotions can be played and she can be made to act against the interests of her own country. Bullshit. Bullshit. Look at the way I'm so happy to see the way that lady reacted with guts. Otherwise people, women get worried if they are cornered like this. I mean, they just want to avoid undue publicity. So,
and it's the worst kind of victim shaming that's happening without any kind of proof, General G.D. Bakshi. That's what makes it so much more shocking. And in fact, we have a hand going up, in fact, on the panel.
We need to pack off more than half the Pakistani staff.
Right.
And these two must be sent packing back to Pakistan.
And that brings me to the government of India. General G.D. Bakshi, that brings you to the government of India. It is an amazing silence for the past 36 hours since the story first broke out, with the government of India, the Ministry of External Affairs, not even commenting on it. What explains this stoic silence?
The stoic silence is that they have sanctioned all this. They want to use their embassy, as I said, to recruit terror sympathizers to...
No, sir, I'm talking about our own ministry, our own Ministry of External Affairs. Shouldn't the government of India be reacting in a stronger way? As you rightly have said, perhaps these diplomats should be expelled, their credentials should be revoked. Why is that not happening on ground?
I mean, that, I think, question is better addressed to the Ministry of External Affairs. Because I thought the least we can do is send them packing. If they are trying to do honey traps in our country, well, that's they can't do it under diplomatic cover.
Absolutely. And in fact, Faraz, let me come to that. One of the previous panelists says this woman is lying, that it's all wrong. If that is indeed the case, was there any kind of inquiry to establish that she was wrong? Is it a conclusion that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has gone through after a process of inquiry, after speaking to the victim, after examining the facts at hand? Because no inquiry has actually happened on ground for us.
You're actually right. To begin with, I never condone victim blaming. In any such incidences, General Bakshi, if I may, in most of these incidences, victim blaming is the first justification for it, and I never agreed to that. Second, the government of India should have reacted very strongly. I would want to put up some legal facts to it. Government of India, if the diplomat is at senior level, should have declared him persona non grata, sent him back to Pakistan. It would have been highlighted internationally. A very good legal remedy that the government of India is not using. Second, if the diplomat fails to enjoy such diplomatic immunity, then a local case should have been registered against this said diplomat of Pakistan embassy, and he should be tried in the local courts.
Absolutely.
The problem is, why isn't this happening within the local domain? Why isn't the government of India raising this?
Sir, because when it comes to diplomats, as you yourself have mentioned, there is an issue of diplomatic immunity, and the first person who has to take action is the government of Pakistan. I think the moral responsibility of a Pakistan embassy is on the government of Pakistan and its Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is why the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was forced with Times Now's relentless coverage yesterday to come out and respond on a story which was buried for 8 long months. But let me come to Tariq Fatah.
My question is, why isn't government of
All right,
India
we are questioning. Yes, there is no doubt. Perhaps the government of India should also react. But the primary responsibility, remember that this is a staffer of the Pakistan government. This is not a staffer of India. So it is the primary responsibility of the government of Pakistan to act on this. Tariq Fatah, can Pakistan government just wash its hands off? Say that we have an inquiry happening, we have a robust system, and we will find out, we'll get to the truth of the matter, while ultimately brushing the entire matter under the carpet. Even the person who's the accused today is afraid to come out. If it was a fake case, he would have clearly come out to say, hey, I'm innocent, I've done nothing wrong. But he says the ministry has spoken, that's all.
But on WhatsApp, you can't engineer messages. It has to be a two-way traffic of conversation. You simply can't brush aside what appears on WhatsApp. Your earlier question was, how would Pakistan manage something like this? This is non-news for Pakistanis. You remember our head of government and head of state once said that these women cry rape because they have to seek, they try to get American citizenship. Mukhtar Mai case, both the army chief and the political, they always blame the women.
Come on, that's absolutely shameful. It's absolutely shameful to accuse Pakistan as a country on these cases. I can bring up thousands of cases against the Indian government and against the Indian.
No, you can.
Your current.
I'm answering the call. I'm not involved with a conversation with you.
Of rape.
No, the point is not that. The larger point he's making is trying to victim shame over here, sir. And this culture of victim shaming at least does not happen. And if it does happen, it's immediately called out. Unfortunately, that does not seem to be the case in this case, where the very basic sympathy that one would expect to a victim of this kind of harassment is not happening or is not being generated on ground. We certainly hope that authorities on all sides wake up and ensure justice for this woman who's been fighting a lone battle, and Times Now will continue to support her in this battle. And as, of course, newer and newer facts come out, the role of Pakistan and the role of this person in the Pakistan embassy and officer of the Pakistan embassy here in the national capital certainly comes under question. All eyes on what action is taken on this individual. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us once again. Tariq Fatah, Faraz Saeed, Kamar Chima and General G.D. Bakshi. Just days after Shah declared that the temple will be ready as per the deadline, today the Yogi Adityanath government decided to open the doors of the temple complex to the media to show that the construction was indeed on track. Times Now visited the site and found the construction full swing, with the work on the Sanctum Sanctorum of the temple underway. Project engineers working at the site exuded confidence that the completion deadline of December 2023 will be met.
देखिए सीधी तस्वीरें गर्भगृह की, जहां पर रामलला की मूर्ति प्रतिष्ठापित की जाएगी, प्रतिष्ठित की जाएगी। ये गर्भगृह है। गर्भगृह गोल घेराव में ये पिछला हिस्सा सिंहद्वार से लेकर गर्भगृह, जहां पर मुख्य मंदिर होगा, जहां पर रामलला विराजमान होंगे। वो आपको झंडा प्रभु श्री राम का नजर आएगा। उस झंडे वो आइकॉन है कि यहां पर गर्भगृह है और यहां पर मूर्ति स्थापित की जाएगी। उसका काम युद्ध स्तर पर चल रहा है। देखिए ये तस्वीरें गर्भगृह की, लोग इंतजार कर रहे थे कि कब प्रभु श्री राम यहाँ पर विराजित किए जाएंगे। अस्थाई मंदिर में फिलहाल दर्शन लाभ ले रहे हैं श्रद्धालु, तो वो तस्वीरें आपको नजर आएंगी। कैसे क्रेन लगाकर एक से एक पत्थर को जोड़ा जा रहा है। साउथ इंडिया से पत्थर मंगाए गए हैं, राजस्थान से पत्थर मंगाए गए हैं। कारसेवकपुरम में लंबे अरसे से उनकी नक्काशी हुई और अब उन्हें यहाँ पर क्रेन के जरिए लाकर गर्भगृह बनाया जा रहा है।
जैसा कि आप सब सुन ही रहे थे कि और जानते ही हैं कि दिसंबर 2023 में हमारा टारगेट है इस मंदिर निर्माण का पूरा करने के लिए, और हम पूरी तरह से आश्वस्त हैं कि दिसंबर 2023 में हम इस कार्य को पूरा कर लेंगे और लोगों को दर्शन के लिए यहाँ पे व्यवस्थाएं हो जाए।
अच्छा, 2-3 चीजें मैं जरूर जानना चाहूंगा कि ये महल जो प्रभु राम का होगा किस तरीके से भव्य होगा, किस तरीके से दिव्य होगा, देश के दूसरे मंदिरों से किस तरीके से ये अलग होगा।
देखिए भव्यता तो आपको देखने लायक है, आप फोटोग्राफ्स वगैरह सब ले ही सकते हैं, वीडियो शूट कर रहे हैं। भव्यता तो इसमें कहीं कोई कमी नहीं है, दिव्य भी है। और इसकी जो एनालिसिस हुई है, जो इसमें इंजीनियरिंग लगी है हम लोगों की, जिसमें IIT के काफ़ी प्रोमिनेंट प्रोफेसर्स और साइंटिस्ट लगे हैं, CBRI रुड़की वगैरह के, तो इसके हिसाब से जो इसकी स्ट्रक्चरल स्टेबिलिटी एनालिसिस हुई है, तो ये 1000 साल के लिए मंदिर का निर्माण हो रहा है। देखिए अभी ये जो सामने दिख रहा है ये तस्वीर, ये है अपना मंडोर का काम चल रहा है। ये गुड़ मंडप एरिया है, इसके पीछे गर्भगृह का एरिया है। सो इसमें टोटल 13 लेयर में पत्थर अपने को डालनी थी, उसमें 8 लेयर डल चुकी है। तो डेफिनेटली जो है सो 60-70% काम हो चुका है। अब इसमें जो है सो 5 लेयर और डलने के बाद में इसकी छत डलनी शुरू हो जाएगी।
राम मंदिर का निर्माण, प्रभु राम मंदिर का निर्माण जो है ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश से हो रहा है। आप लोग नहीं करा रहे हो, आप लोग कोई अध्यादेश लेकर के नहीं आए थे जो खामखा का क्रेडिट ले रहे हो। तपस्वी श्री राहुल गांधी जी हैं, आप लोग तो वोट के लिए प्रभु श्री राम का नाम का इस्तेमाल करते हो। आप लोग तो जहां वोट नहीं मिलता वहां संसद में कह देते हो कि राम सेतु का कोई अस्तित्व नहीं है। संभल के बोला कीजिए।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And for more on this, let's go right across to our guest. Joining us live, we have with us Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. Sriraj Nair is the national spokesperson of the VHP. Tehseen Poonawalla is a political analyst joining us, and Dr. Akashdeep Puni is also a political analyst. Sanju Verma, coming to you first. The opposition says that it's not in the spirit of statesmanship to claim credit because clearly this is something that has happened at the behest of courts and not any political party is the opposition's contention. Your response to that, Sanju?
You know, Madhav, I clearly recall prior to the Lok Sabha 2019 elections, Kapil Sibal, who was then a bona fide Congress member, categorically appealed to the Supreme Court that the Ram Janmabhoomi verdict should not happen prior to the general elections, as it may benefit and give a disproportionate advantage to the BJP. The fact that today Kapil Sibal is not a part of the Congress is not important. The fact that the Congress has always undermined Hindu faith, including never standing in solidarity with KK Muhammad, who clearly said that there were remains of temples from the 12th and 13th century which were found under the Babri Mosque. And Congress immediately said, no, KK Muhammad is lying, despite the fact that the first archaeological survey, Madhav, was conducted way back under the leadership and aegis of B.B. Lal in 1976 and 77.
Okay. And
I also want to remind your audience one very important thing, that ever since Amit Shah has on record stated that by Jan 2024, Bhavya Ram Mandir will be open to every Indian citizen and especially for Hindus. I have not seen a single tweet from Rahul Gandhi, the Chunavi Tapaswi, so to speak, saying that the government has done a commendable job. Do you think a Ram Janmabhoomi temple could have been constructed had it not been for the Yogi government in power in Uttar Pradesh and Narendra Modi in power at the center?
Okay, let's get a quick response from Tehseen Poonawalla on that. Tehseen Poonawalla, it is the BJP regime that deserves credit, says Sanju Verma, because we have seen dealing tactics. She took the example of Mr. Kapil Sibal. There are several other such instances which in fact the BJP says shows how political leaders have in the past, particularly those from opposition parties including the Congress, have tried to delay the entire process of justice delivery when it comes to the Ram Temple issue. Tehseen.
Thank you, Madhav, for having me on the show. And Sanju Verma, to an extent, is right. The BJP deserves credit. It does. It deserves credit for fooling the people of this country. It deserves credit for stalling the Ram Mandir only because of the most honorable Supreme Court of India. In 1992, the Congress got a bill in Parliament. In that bill, the Congress proposed for Ram Mandir to be built. You know who stalled it? The BJP. They said, no, let the matter go to court. Let the matter go to court on the floor of Parliament. The Chief Justice of India, when Shri Narendra Modi ji was Prime Minister, Justice Kher, appealed to the most honorable Prime Minister to intervene so that the temple can be built. The Prime Minister refused to do anything because it was in the BJP's interest that this temple does not be created till the time it suits the BJP. That is why the BJP that on the floor of Parliament said there is no evidence of Masita Mahesh Sharma, that on the floor of Parliament abused Lord Ram, Naresh Agarwal, that on the floor of the Parliament in the last section
to the lies being spoken by Tehseen. Tehseen is a hypocrite and a liar.
You can counter him. Okay, let him complete his point. You can counter him. You can counter him, Sanju Verma. There are several such other arguments and questions I have for Tehseen as well. I'll come to all of those points one by one. Tehseen, complete your point very quickly.
Yeah, my viewers don't like it. Yeah. And one more thing, on the floor in the last session of Parliament, the Jitendra Singh ji said there is no evidence of Ram Setu. No evidence. This is the BJP. There is aisa koi saga nahi jisko Bhajpa ne thaga nahi.
Okay.
And they are talking about Ram Mandir.
Okay. BJP is misleading the people on the issue of Ram Temple from the arguments as far as the Place of Worship Act are concerned to the winter session of Parliament 2022. There have been several statements which BJP says which are in direct contradiction to its public stance when it comes to Ram and the Ram Temple. Sanju Verma, please respond to that question.
You know, Madhav, as the saying goes, the only, thing worse about a liar is a liar who is also a hypocrite. And I say this with complete sincerity. Tehseen Poonawalla is doing a fabulous job in lying and being absolutely hypocritical about it with no remorse whatsoever. Let me remind the Congress and the Congress stooges who coined the term saffron terror, who coined the term Hindu Taliban, who said after the 26/11 attack, ये RSS की और हिंदुओं की साजिश है, be it Digvijay Singh, be it Sushil Kumar Shinde, be it Shashi Tharoor. You have consistently demonized and Hindu Astha. Let me tell you one thing, Madhav. If the BJP does not deserve credit, is it sheer coincidence that the historic judgment with respect to reinstallation of Ram Lalla Virajman came in November 2019?
Right.
Is it a coincidence that Lord Ram was moved from a makeshift tent to his actual abode in February 2020 under the Narendra Modi government? Is it a sheer coincidence that thanks to Narendra Modi, the Ram Janma Bhoomi Shilanyas was laid under the auspices of a Modi government by none other than Prime Minister Modi himself?
All right.
So many coincidences, don't you think so, Tehseen?
Okay, I'll allow Tehseen to take that question as well. Tehseen, quick response and then I move on to other panelists. Quick response from Tehseen.
To ensuring that the
quick response, Tehseen.
Brought to fruition by the end of Jan 2024.
Okay. Yeah, Tehseen.
Very quick two responses. One, Sangh terror and the person who blamed RSS for 2611 and the BJP, RK Singh and Kripashankar Singh. Point number two, that's exactly why I'm giving the BJP credit.
A part of the BJP? Is Vijay Singh not a part of the Congress anymore? Is Sushil Kumar Shinde, who spoke of Hindu terror, saffron terror, not a part of the Congress anymore? Is Shashi Tharoor, who spoke of Hindu Taliban, not a part of the Congress anymore?
Okay.
Is Rahul Gandhi, who said that temples are places where rapes happen, not a part of the Congress anymore?
Okay. You've asked those questions. Now let him respond. Are all of those individuals not with Congress anymore, Tehseen Poonawalla? I think it's a pertinent question when you're making these claims as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I've always said it on your show. And the Congress is repenting for what it's done. I'm not going to deny. But those who said it while in the Congress are proud members of the BJP. Imagine abusing Lord Ram on the floor.
A part of the Congress or not?
Okay.
Sushil Kumar Shinde coined the term saffron terror when he was the Home Minister under a Congress government.
Protect me if I can talk.
Hindu Taliban.
Thank you, Madhav.
Okay.
2019.
All right, Sanju, let him make his point. You've countered him. Let him complete his point. You've countered him. Let him complete his point now. Tehseen.
Yeah. Look, I'm not denying that people in the Congress have made tremendously ridiculous remarks and the Congress is paying the price. But those in the Congress and opposition who made those remarks are today in the BJP. RK Singh, Kripashankar Singh. That's why I said that they are thugs. But let's come to the larger point that I want to make. In the last session, the BJP...
Okay, let him complete. Sanju, let him complete, please.
The BJP...
Let him complete. I like this. We will not be able to complete the debate. We have limited time. Let's not do this. Let's... Yes, all right. Yes, Tehseen.
Mandir.
Tehseen, floor is yours.
2020,
the last session, the BJP which came to power on the Ram Setu issue said that there is no evidence of Ram Setu in the last session. This is the BJP. And tell me one thing. Today when the Ram temple is being built, it's being built by taxpayers' money. Supreme Court gave the judgment. Why didn't the BJP and the Prime Minister intervene when the Chief Justice asked the Prime Minister personally to intervene in an open court?
All right.
They didn't do it. Even on places of worship, they did not put anything on affidavit. That's why I'm saying.
Rahul Gandhi is a Chunavi Hindu.
People.
Okay. If the places of worship is so wrong, Sriraj Nair, the question coming from Tehseen Poonawalla is that why is the government not put anything on affidavit yet? Why does the government not come out and make its position clear? That's the question coming in from Tehseen Poonawalla. Would you like to take that question, Sriraj Nair?
Well, Madhav, first of all, the issue of Bhagwan Sri Ram temple at Ayodhya was never a political question for VHP. It was with regards to sentiments of more than 100 crore Hindus residing across the world. So taking any political credit, we are not there for any kind of political credit, but it is a matter of sentiments for us. But yes, one thing I can make it very clear, the Congress tried to tried to ensure that the temple never comes in existence. Congress tried to create hurdles. They had appointed lawyers so that the temple could not come in existence. So all these things happened. So now we are happy that a temple comes in, and whatever hopes, as far as Hindus is concerned, the hopes lies with BJP only and the current government. They are the only party which we see that they are going to come to the rescue of Hindus. We all know what happened when Balmond took over as Prime Minister. First thing he said, the first right for resources, whatever resources this nation has, it is for the Muslims of this nation.
All right.
The kind of appeasement politics the Congress did, it is unforgivable.
Okay. It is the appeasement politics that has actually stalled all of this, Akashdeep Muni. And one very important point is when Rahul Gandhi says that Congress is a party of tapasvis, here is BJP which says this is the real tapasya. that the Ram temple has not been formed in a day, that a lot of sacrifice, a lot of tyag and tapasya has been done to ensure that the Ram temple is constructed through various agitations, various other movements, etc., that we've seen over decades.
See, Madhav, the Ram temple specifically would have been made since a long ago. Had not been, there has been delays, and there had not there been corruption, as cited by none other than the chief priest who takes care of Ram Lalla, Satinder Jain ji, Satyendra Das ji. And interestingly, what BJP was saying about Hinduism and BJP taking care of Hinduism, I want to ask one thing. Of course, my dear friend will be remembering what the BJP MLA from Uttarakhand and Minister for Uttarakhand said about Lord Saraswati ji. And specifically, I sometimes, many times don't agree with Azim, but today I agree with him that BJP is none other than a party of, who thugs common man by telling them that they will be building Ram temples, etc. They are not worried about anything other than the elections.
Okay.
Because elections are coming in 2024, they have to do it in first month of 2024.
Okay, so two wrongs. So Mr. Kapil Sibal says that elections are coming, don't give the judgment. They are constructing the Ram temple because there is an election in 2024. The same argument once again is being inverted in logic. But let me just before I go across to the BJP, two questions for the BJP were asked over here by Mr. Muni. Mr. Muni, I'm just going to take you through very quickly some of the arguments that were made in the court. And you tell me which side was delaying this. Because here you have Mr. Rajiv Dhawan, who was a lawyer for a Sunni Waqf board. In August 2019 says, I don't get time to prepare arguments. The daily hearing is practically impossible. The Ayodhya hearing cannot be rushed and put through torture through daily hearing, to which the Chief Justice then said there will be 5-day hearings a week, we'll give you a break. They also demanded more time for the mediation process in July 2019, saying that it's not yielding any results. The Supreme Court rejected that demand, and the mediation panel was asked to file its status report within a week. They also went on to the bench of the then justice on the flimsy ground that he had appeared as a lawyer in a related case in 1994. One of the justices then recuses himself. So there are several instances, and there are several other instances which I can also read out. I don't want to take up much time with the viewers. The point is that there have been several attempts at stalling this entire case. Somewhere or the other, when the BJP comes out to say that the attempts to stall the case were there, which were, completely scuttled, at least to that extent, does the BJP have a point, Mr. Akash Deepuni?
Madhav, the judgment is given. The temple should have come by now. Why the temple? It's 2023. Why are they waiting for 2024 for the inauguration? Why? I'll just tell you.
They have shown the construction is going on. Did you not see the news reports today?
I just tell you.
Your problem is that the temple has taken too long to be constructed. What about the few decades before that, sir?
Why the temple is taking so long to be constructed? Why there has been corruption charges? Why the chief priest Satyendra Das, who's taking care of Ram Lalla, has asked for a CBI inquiry into corruption charges in the land deals regarding the Ram Janmabhoomi.
Okay, several hands going up. I'm going to come to Sanju in just a minute. I'm going to allow Sriraj to respond to that and then come into Sanju. Sriraj, quick response.
So the temple is constructed by the most professional engineers and L&T is behind it. The startup concern is behind it. And it's going to be constructed in a record time. It's as to the time. How is he saying that it's delayed? And it's a huge task. Do you know the kind of construction is going to be? So the temple is going to be in record time. There is no delay at all. This is an informal statement.
Akashdeep Muni, it's being rebuilt in record time, so the entire claim that it's taking too long is wrong.
Pujari of Ram Lalla, I'm just giving you facts. The chief Pujari of Ram Lalla, Satyendra Das, and other senior seers like Swami Avi Mukteshwaranand, Sankaracharya of Dwarika Sharda Peetham, Swami Swarupanand Saraswati have also asked for CBI inquiry into land deals.
Okay, back to CBI inquiry now. Now you've forgotten the point of that it has taken too long to build. All right, Sanju Verma. There is too much corruption in the land there which has delayed the construction. The government must take responsibility. The BJP government must take responsibility because the chief priest has come out speaking out against the government, says Mr. Muni. Please respond to him.
Madhav, जो कहते हैं ना हाथी के दांत खाने के और दिखाने के और And Akashdeep Muni, who always represents the Aam Aadmi Party, officially or unofficially, I don't care about it, his loyalties are well known. Let me remind the speech by the then Aam Aadmi Party Social Welfare and Women and Child Development Minister Rajendra Pal Gautam, as recently as in October 2022, which went viral. I did not interrupt you, Madhav. I refuse to speak. You have to rein this man in.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
I will request all panelists not to interrupt each other. Yeah. Sanju, make your point.
Muni, ध्यान से सुनिए. Let me expose Akashdeep Muni. In October 2022, a sitting minister of the Arvind Kejriwal government in Delhi holds a large rally for forced conversion of Hindus. And what does Rajendra Pal Gautam say? With rabid impunity, गौरी में विश्वास मत करो, दुर्गा में विश्वास मत करो, गणेश में विश्वास मत करो, राम को मत पूजो, सीता को मत पूजो, राम को मत पूजो, सीता को मत पूजो. And did Arvind Kejriwal condemn it? No. Rajendra Pal Gautam resigned, but he was made the star campaigner of the Aam Aadmi Party for the elections in Gujarat.
Okay.
That you lost Gujarat elections, that is a different story altogether.
Okay.
Let me tell you one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing, Madhav.
Okay.
Even as recently as 2019, can I finish?
Yeah.
Can I finish?
Yeah, we have limited time. Quickly make your point, please. We have limited time. I have to end this debate. Quickly.
Yes. Madhav,
take 5 seconds.
In 2016, Arvind Kejriwal shared a meme about Lord Hanuman destroying the JNU campus. In 2019, he shared a tweet.
Okay. 2 allegations against the Aam Aadmi Party. Quick response. Quick response.
आपने
अरविंद केजरीवाल
सुर छेड़ दिया, मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ.
स्वास्तिका.
But
आज आपको बताइए.
Your party's intentions when it comes to Mr. Rajendra Pal Gautam were exposed when he was made the campaigner. Why was strong action not taken on him is the question coming from Sanju Verma. Quick response, Akashdeep Muni. Quick response, please.
BJP MLA and minister in Uttarakhand say Bansidhar Bhagat, I'll name that person. Bansidhar Bhagat says Saraswati Bhagwan ko patao. This is a language of Bharatiya Janata Party against Hindu religious goddesses. This is a language, Sanju Verma ji, I want to tell. देशवासियों देखिए ये भाषा है हमारी.
All right, we are only going to see more whataboutery. Unfortunately, no condemnation coming in from either side or responsibility coming in of actions. We are completely out of time on this entire debate. But in terms of the Ram Temple, the fact that a promise has been made that the temple doors would be opened within a year, certainly the construction seems to suggest that. Will it actually happen on ground? Let's wait and watch. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening.
It's game time. Ain't no excuses tolerated while you can't grind. It's like you're on the job, you know that team.
Hello everyone, ये है बजाज की नई पल्सर P115 केस. You're wondering 150 ऑलरेडी मौजूद है तो इस P वर्जन को लाने का कारण क्या है, मतलब क्या है? सो कारण बहुत सारे हैं. डिजाइन को लेकर, फीचर्स को लेकर और कुछ हद तक परफॉर्मेंस को लेकर भी इस P वर्जन में बदलाव देखने को मिलते हैं. तो क्या है वो सारे बदलाव इस नई पल्सर P150 में, उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूं इस रिव्यू के अंदर. और रिव्यू के एंड में बात करेंगे 3 धांसू और 3 नॉट धांसू एलिमेंट्स मुझे क्या लगते हैं इस बजाज पल्सर P150 के बारे में. अब डिजाइन की बात करें तो यहाँ पर जो नयापन देखने को मिल रहा है.
You're watching the News Hour at 10.
Centre informs top court now there is no consensus between the centre and states for giving minority status to Hindus in states and union territories where they are not majority. Days after 7 Kashmiri Hindus were identified and eliminated by terrorists in Rajouri, Amit Shah holds a high-level meeting to review the security situation in Jammu. Stalin ups the ante against Governor R.N. Ravi, writes letter to President Murmu, says governor maintaining an ideological and political conflict with the state government. Row over Tamil Nadu name change proposal continues. DMK-ally VCK stages protest outside Raj Bhavan, demands governor's resignation. Lingayat Sia along with his supporters protest in front of CM Basavaraj Bommai's residence over lack of clarity as deadline for 2A reservation expires today.
इनकेस आप मिलेनियन वाली जनरेशन से हैं तो आपने शायद वो गाना सुना होगा, देखा जो तुझे यार दिल में बजी गिटार। सो कुछ ऐसे अगर आप मूड में हैं तो यहाँ पे ये गिटार की स्ट्रिंग्स टाइप दी गई हैं, एग्जैक्टली स्ट्रिंग्स नहीं है बट ऐसे कुछ मूड में हैं तो आप इनका इस्तेमाल उस समय जरूर कर सकते हैं। अब आप समझ गए होंगे कि गाड़ी कौन सी है, हाल ही में इसका लॉन्च हुआ था, ये है BYD की Atto 3 और क्या परफॉर्मेंस, क्या रेंज, क्या डिजाइन, क्या फीचर्स BYD अपने इस इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल में दे रहा है, उन सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूं इस वीडियो में। और वीडियो के अंत में हमेशा की तरह बात करेंगे 3 धांसू और 3 नॉट धांसू एलिमेंट्स मुझे क्या लगे इस BYD Atto 3 के बारे में। तो चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं।
You're watching the News Hour at 10.
Eight families have been served notices for evacuation from Karna Prayag, which is facing Joshimath-like sinking crisis. Supreme Court directs Delhi Police to file an affidavit detailing steps taken in the investigation of December 2021 hate speech incidents in the national capital. In the shocking Kanjavala death case, 11 policemen of Rohini district have been suspended on MHA's direction. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat rakes a fresh controversy with his remark that the saffron flag and not an individual is role model for RSS. Prime Minister Narendra Modi flags off MV Ganga Vilas, the world's longest river cruise from Varanasi that is expected to reach its final destination Dibrugarh on March 1st.
The smartphone category in India is anyway popular, right? उसमें भी जो 20 से 25 हजार वाले स्मार्टफोन्स हैं वो और भी ज्यादा पॉपुलर हैं। शायद इसीलिए इन्फिनिक्स ने आज अपना 020 स्मार्टफोन लॉन्च कर दिया है। I have the smartphone with me right here और इसको आज करेंगे अनबॉक्स। Hi, you're watching At a Time. This is me, Pavni Jain, and it's time for me to unbox this device और देखते हैं फोन में आपको क्या-क्या contents दिखाई देंगे। Let's begin. फोन अनबॉक्स हो चुका है। जैसे कि आपने देखा यहाँ पर स्टिकर उतारते हुए मैंने ऐसे थोड़ा सा गन मचा दी। यहाँ पे स्टिकर ऑलरेडी दिखाई दे रहा है, बट इसको क्लीन करेंगे बाद में। अभी बात करेंगे स्मार्टफोन के बारे में। थोड़ा सा मुझे वेट इसका ज्यादा लग रहा है, वो यूज करने के बाद पता चलेगा कि ये कितना कंफर्टेबल है। अदर देन दैट यू गेट 3 कैमराज एट द बैक। इसको आपको मिलेगा स्क्वायरिश कैमरा मॉड्यूल के अंदर। द मेन कैमरा इज 108 मेगापिक्सल और यही इसका यूएसपी है। सिर्फ बैक कैमरास की बात नहीं है बॉस, आपको फ्रंट कैमरा भी बहुत ही धांसू दिखाई दे रहा है। एटलीस्ट ऑन द स्पेक शीट यूज करने पे पता चलेगा कि कितना अच्छा है या नहीं अच्छा है। फ्रंट कैमरा जो इसका है वो आपको मिलता है 60 मेगापिक्सल का फ्रंट शूटर। आपको इसमें दिखाई देगा फुल HD प्लस एमोलेड पैनल। बेजल्स थोड़े से मुझे मोटे दिखाई दे रहे हैं, टॉप और बॉटम वाला स्पेशली। साइड बेजल्स आर स्टिल स्लिम। What keeps this smartphone alive is Helio G99 chipset. बैटरी की बात करें तो इसमें आपको मिलता है 45 वॉट का फास्ट चार्जिंग सिस्टम विच इज प्रिटी गुड. एट द बॉटम यू ऑल्सो गेट अ 3.5 mm हेडफोन जैक एंड दैट इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्योंकि आजकल के फोन में ये आपको बिल्कुल दिखाई नहीं देता है. सो यू डू नॉट हैव टू जस्ट रिलाई ऑन योर वायरलेस ईयरबड्स. आप यहाँ पर अपने वायर्ड हेडफोन्स का भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. स्पीकर के साथ आपको मिलता है टाइप सी पोर्ट, ऊपर की तरफ माइक्रोफोन है, राइट साइड पे आपको मिलता है वॉल्यूम रॉकर और साथ में पावर बटन. लेफ्ट साइड इज प्रीटी क्लीन, लेकिन यहाँ पे आपको मिलता है सिम ट्रे और सिम इंजेक्टर टूल बॉक्स में आपको मिलता है, वो मैं दिखा चुकी हूँ. यहीं पर सिम ट्रे की बात करते करते मेरी नजर गई है फ्रेम पर विच इज प्रीटी ग्लॉसी. मेटल तो नहीं है लेकिन ऐसा फील जरूर दे रहा है दैट इट्स मेटल. बाकी ये था मेरा ओवरऑल लुक एट द स्मार्टफोन. अगर आप जानना चाहते हैं कि क्या आपको ये खरीदना चाहिए एट अराउंड ₹20,000-25,000, क्या ये अच्छा ऑप्शन है या नहीं, उसके लिए यू रियली नीड टू स्टे ट्यून्ड टू गैजेट टाइम्स टू फाइंड आउट इट्स फुल रिव्यू. नाउ यू गाइज नो द ड्रिल. लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब एंड जस्ट स्टे ट्यून्ड टू गैजेट टाइम्स. थैंक्स फॉर वाचिंग दिस वीडियो.
You clever, you make for more. You want and you can take me to the top. Yeah, I'd like to see you try. I'd like to see you try. Get my hands on you. You're gonna turn black, you're gonna turn blue. Oh, why? That's some real bad news. It's not me, it's you.
हेलो एवरीवन, मैं खड़ा हूँ ऑल न्यू BMW M345 X ड्राइव के बगल में और ये यहाँ पर BMW ने फाइनली इंडिया में लॉन्च कर दी है. क्या डिटेल्स हैं इसके डिजाइन, इसके एक्सटीरियर, इसके इंटीरियर को लेकर, क्या फीचर्स दिए गए हैं, परफॉर्मेंस के आंकड़े क्या हैं, सभी के बारे में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूँ इस वीडियो में. तो डिजाइन की बात करें इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्सटीरियर तो फ्रंट में वही स्पोर्टी डिजाइन लैंग्वेज इस M340i में देखने को मिल रही है. ग्रिल में किडनी ग्रिल यहाँ देखने को मिल रहा है विद ग्लॉस बैक एलिमेंट्स एंड LED हेडलाइट्स हैं विद ब्लू एक्सेंट्स यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहे हैं इसकी हेडलाइट्स में. इसके अलावा बम्पर में जो है वो भी ग्लॉसी ब्लैक का इस्तेमाल करा गया है एंड एयर इनटेक्स भी यहाँ पर देखने को मिल रहे हैं विच गोज बिहाइंड, जो व्हील की तरफ जाते हुए देखते हैं एंड BMW LED की बैजिंग यहाँ देखने को मिल रही है. इसके अलावा बात करें व्हील्स की तो व्हील्स जो इसमें दिए गए हैं वो हैं 19 इंच के और 225 सेक्शन के व्हील इसमें फ्रंट पे दिए गए हैं एंड M स्पोर्ट की बैजिंग यहाँ पर इसके व्हील्स में देखने को मिल रही है. M स्पोर्ट ब्रेक्स यहाँ पर देखने को मिल रही है एंड M स्पोर्ट की बैजिंग यहाँ दी गई है. एंड इन केस आपकी नजर यहाँ जाएगी तो देखेंगे साइड मिरर्स का डिजाइन किस तरह से स्पोर्टी और एरोडायनामिक बनाने के लिए कुछ इस तरह से यहाँ पे इसमें दिया गया है. देन वही M स्पोर्ट वाला डिजाइन लैंग्वेज, स्पोर्ट कार वाली फील, सेडान वाली फील यहाँ पर साइड प्रोफाइल से इसके देखने को मिल रही है. रियर में आए, रियर में जो टायर दिया गया है उसका साइज अलग है, 19 इंच का है और 255 सेक्शन का टायर रियर में इसमें देखने को मिल रहा है. एंड सेम अगेन M स्पोर्ट ब्रेक्स एंड M स्पोर्ट की बैजिंग इसके अलॉयज में यहाँ देखने को मिल रही हैं. रियर की तरफ आए तो M340i की बैजिंग, टेल लाइट्स, LED टेल लाइट्स यहाँ देखने को मिल रही हैं, BMW लोगो है एंड यहाँ पे देखेंगे यहाँ पर भी ग्लॉसी ब्लैक एलिमेंट का इस्तेमाल करा गया है एंड जो इसका टिप है एग्जॉस्ट टेल का वो भी ब्लैक में पेंटेड यहाँ देखने को मिल रहा है. सो ओवरऑल काफी कूल, काफी स्पोर्टी इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्सटीरियर देखने को मिल रही है ये नई BMW की M340i. चलते हैं अंदर, अंदर क्या फीचर्स हैं, क्या मामला है इन टर्म्स ऑफ M. लेट्स गो एंड चेक दैट आउट. इंटीरियर की बात करें तो यहाँ पर कुछ कार्बन फाइबर एलिमेंट्स, ऑफ कोर्स स्पोर्टी डिजाइन, शार्प फील यहाँ पे अंदर भी इसमें बैठने के बाद आ रही है. इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिजाइन यहाँ तो देखने को मिल रहा है कार्बन फाइबर एलिमेंट थोड़ा बहुत डैशबोर्ड में यहाँ पे इसके यूज करा गया है. यहाँ पे भी सेंटर कंसोल में कार्बन फाइबर एलिमेंट यूज करा गया है. 8 स्पीड का स्टेप्ट्रॉनिक ट्रांसमिशन इसमें दिया गया है एंड यहाँ पर जो स्क्रीन दिया गया है सिंगल स्क्रीन है जो कि इंफोटेनमेंट स्क्रीन और इंस्ट्रूमेंट क्लस्टर में डिवाइड होता है. जो इंफोटेनमेंट स्क्रीन है, टच स्क्रीन है, 14.9 इंच का ये स्क्रीन यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहा है एंड as you can see responsive काफ़ी ये अभी फिलहाल महसूस हो रहा है। एंड यहाँ पे आए तो इसका ये 12.3 इंच का इंस्ट्रूमेंट क्लस्टर देखने को मिल रहा है और एम स्पोर्ट वाली बैजिंग यहाँ पर इसके स्टीयरिंग में दी गई है। एम स्पोर्ट स्टीयरिंग है इसका। एंड लेफ्ट साइड में तो क्रूज कंट्रोल के बटन हैं, राइट साइड में जो इसका इंफोटेनमेंट सिस्टम है उसको कंट्रोल करने के बटन इसके राइट साइड में दिए हैं। वॉइस कमांड इज ऑल्सो देयर। एंड ओवरऑल सीट का जो फील है वो भी एम स्पोर्ट वाला है। यहाँ देख सकते हैं थोड़ा एम स्पोर्ट वाला बीडिंग यहाँ पे देखने को मिल रहा है। एंड सीट्स का स्टाइल भी ओवरऑल स्पोर्टी है। डार्क कॉम्बिनेशन के साथ ही सीट मिल रही है। आई थिंक और कस्टमाइजेशन के ऑप्शंस होंगे इन टर्म्स ऑफ सीट्स ऑल्सो, बट अभी फिलहाल इस गाड़ी में कुछ ऐसे देखने को मिल रही है। एंड यहाँ पे आए तो मीडिया कंट्रोल, मैप, नेविगेशन, टेलीफोन, होम, इनके फिजिकल बटन यहाँ देखने को मिल रहे हैं। कप होल्डर्स, 12 वोल्ट का सॉकेट एंड देयर इज ऑल्सो वायरलेस चार्जिंग जो यहाँ पे इधर दी गई है। एक USB चार्जिंग पॉइंट है एंड इसको आप इस तरह से क्लोज कर सकते हैं। यहाँ पे कुछ कार्बन फाइबर एलिमेंट देखने को मिल रहा है। क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल की बात करूँ 3 जोन क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल इसमें दिया गया है। एंड फॉर द रियर पैसेंजर ऑल्सो वहाँ पे भी फैन स्पीड और टेम्परेचर स्पीड एडजस्ट करने का ऑप्शन पीछे की तरफ भी देखने को मिलता है। सो ओवरऑल फील अभी यहाँ पे ओवरऑल थ्रू आउट इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिजाइन यहाँ पर स्पोर्टी फील देखने को जरूर मिल रहा है। पीछे बैठते हैं, स्पेस का मामला है कि नहीं, क्योंकि इस तरह की गाड़ियों में पीछे की सीट में स्पेस बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा नहीं होता है। तो रियर सीट स्पेस यहाँ पे ठीक ठाक लग रहा है। बहुत ज्यादा मैं नहीं कहूंगा कि बहुत अच्छा स्पेस है, बट ओवरऑल स्पोर्ट्स कार के डिजाइन फील वाला अगर आप मामला चाहिए